I now call to order the 1556th meeting of the General Student Senate, 19th meeting of the 45th session. Good evening, everyone. Notice this meeting is being broadcast via Zoom and the recording will be publicly available on YouTube. Next, I will read the minutes. The University of Maine recognizes that it is located on Marsh Island and the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment upon sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Micmac, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination. The clerk will now vote.
Cynthia Shelmerdine. Here. Ezekiel Delorme.
Here.
Nate Fang.
Here.
Jordan Thompson.
Here.
Hayden Buzzell.
Here.
Maggie Johnson.
Excellent.
Casper Cowan.
Here.
Joshua Bone.
Here.
Juliana Rowan. Here. Isabella Lamadrid. Here. Taylor Kearns. Here. Matthew Weber.
Here.
Vassar Harvey.
Excuse.
James Reader Stewart.
Here.
Marcus McLean.
Here.
Bo Misha.
Here.
Meredith Waters. Here. Darren Martone.
Here.
Kyle Ricker.
Here.
Zachary Kellogg.
Excuse.
Ethan Crowdy.
Here.
Hazel Sparks. Here. Callum Bellack.
Here.
Taylor Stanford. Here. Keegan Tripp.
Here.
Memphis Peterson.
Here.
Oliver Waugh.
Here.
Dylan Lehman.
Here.
Neil Rocky.
Here.
Elizabeth Oldfield. Here. Abby Downer.
Excuse.
Zoe Stankovitz. Here. Olivia Britton. Here. Riley Mills.
Here.
Mackenzie LeBlanc. Amanda Levesque. Here.
Proxy.
Okay. Jacob Harkless.
Excuse. Yeah. Keep going.
Alright. Anna Blanchett. Here. Zachary Wentworth.
Here.
John Guzman.
Here.
Cass Balea.
Here.
Tyler Gundenbaya.
Here.
Danny Tanaka.
Here.
And Marissa Delta.
I am now looking for approval of the October 1st, 2024 minutes and this agenda. Senator Waters.
I motion to approve the October 1st agenda and this minutes of this agenda.
If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Next, we will move on to the Robert's Rules tip of the week. This week, we will be doing, where to go? Yes, that's exactly what it was. A motion to the previous. There it is.
Yeah.
A motion, this action ends debate. What you say is I move to the previous question. You can't interrupt the speaker. It does need a second. It can be debated and it needs a majority vote. Pretty much what this does is any discussion or debate ends and then we immediately vote on the motion. Next, we will move on to general good and welfare. Any non-members may address the general student senate for not more than 5 minutes.
You guys are in club meetings for the record, so that's.
Oh, very Seeing none and seeing nothing for new senators, officer appointments and resignations, we will move on to club maintenance, starting with American Marketing Association here for preliminary recognition. Anybody here for both? Oh, sorry. Senator Michaud.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and move the American Marketing Association to new business. Second.
If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Is there any discussion on the motion? VE Rocky?
They're gonna be what?
Any other discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. American Marketing Association will now be under new business. Moving on to men's club basketball for preliminary recognition. Hi, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Connor and I'm David. Yeah, I'm the vice president of Bowie Club Basketball. Our main goal is to create a group for athletes and students that want to compete in basketball at a high level that isn't in NCAA D1, D2, D3 level, but also a little more competitive than the intramurals side of it. We're looking to join a league, the National Club Basketball Association. They have teams from all over the country. We'd be in the Northeast region, so Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, schools like that. We currently have 10 active members. We meet once or twice a week, and yeah, we're just looking to be approved and hopefully make a little money along with it.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker, President Tripp?
What are your plans in terms of like advertising and getting the word out? Should
So
you do?
we have an Instagram account right now. We're gonna be making posts on that. We haven't yet, just because we haven't been approved yet, but. Yeah, so Instagram account, and we'll also put out flyers around campus.
If you need any help with that, please let us know.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers? Senator Baum?
No, you need fees for link if you're looking to join.
Yeah, it should be $1,000.
Senator Ritter?
Where do you guys usually meet about this?
So we meet either like, a lot of us live in the Ave, so the basketball court in the Ave, and then we also meet up in the rec and just play, like a game, stuff like that.
Senator Sparks?
Is this going to be like a tryout type thing or like anybody can join type thing?
Yeah, so this will be a tryout, depending on our numbers, obviously. So if we only have 10 people to come, then those 10 people will make the team. But if we have any more than 12 or 13, then there will be a, that's it.
Any other questions for the speaker, Senator Baum?
Are you aware of the tier system that we have for club sports? And where do you see yourself following it at the next?
We are tier 5, so.
Do you plan to climb that at all?
There's no place to climb right now, just to stay afloat.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
4-0-0 out to tax.
Senator Morcom?
I move to approve the committee's recommendations.
Second.
If that is the pleasure of the Senate, if adopted, any discussion? Any debate? Senator Baum?
Unlike other clubs that we approve, sports clubs are different. When we do this, we're kind of saying that down the line, they will have the opportunity to take their money out of the tier system. They get funding just approved for them right off the bat. And so doing this isn't immediately giving them any funding. It's also just preliminary recognition, but for like final recognition or down the line, then them being approved as a club will basically allocate funding from our unallocated down into the more money into the club sports system.
Any other debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Next, we will have the Maine Society of Microbiology for preliminary recognition.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jasper, and I'm the president of the Maine Society of Microbiology.
And my name is Griffin, I'm the secretary.
So we are a group that meets weekly in Hitchner Hall on the other side of campus to provide peer support for students in the B&B department. We host events and we have people come and present research that's happening at the school, at other schools, in hopes to connect students with research opportunities. We just had an event last Friday. We did a paint with E. coli night where we had students come into the lab, paint with a non-pathogenic strain of E. coli, and they put it in the incubator, and we showed them the results today. Operator painted some really cool pictures. We also are taking tours of local labs in the area, such as Don't Chase Diagnostic and Quest Diagnostics, as well as we are planning a pathogen flu night with prizes and such. Yeah, I think that sums up us.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers, Representative Lebec?
How many people are currently attending all of these different events?
We currently have about 10 people who attend general meeting, but for our event last Friday, we had over 20 people show up.
President Tripp?
How big is your department, and do you know?
Our department is about 100 something students. It's 3 majors in the department.
And do you have plans on advertising within those?
Yeah, we do actually for our Ebola night, there's a woman in our apartment, I don't know, what's the reason for that?
Drinks and work. General, like.
Yeah, she has the ability to email all undergrads and grad students in our apartment, and she's been very good to us and allows us to broadcast things through her.
FUPC chair,
Who's your advisor?
Robert Wheeler.
Senator Ball.
Do you foresee requesting any funding from us in the future?
Maybe a little bit, just to supplement, we provided food for the E. coli night, just food costs and a few maintenance costs, but nothing major.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
4-0 to pass.
Senator Martin,
I move to approve, wait a second, sorry.
The committee's recommendation.
Yes, I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second.
if that's the pleasure of the Senate, then it's adopted. Any discussion? Senator Tyner?
This was brought up in SOC, but Microbiome Club has been around for a while. There's paperwork you guys had issues with. That's why you guys are going for prelims right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Any debate? Representative Demerjen?
I'm not a science major. I had science was never my strong suit, but the stuff that they were saying was very, very interesting. So we should definitely pass this.
Thank you. Any other debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes.
My bad. We're all biased.
All right, seeing nothing for fund presentations, we will now move on to our guest speakers. With us tonight, we have Matt McCall, Dave Young from Sedexo and Elementary Services.
Dick Young, Executive Director of Auxiliary Services, management of the services service you on campus on a regular basis from the store to health center, to do that human service. We also do childcare. And we're also involved in housing and dining. Matt Liddell.
As general manager for Maine Dining, I do work for Sedexo, I'm the lead for this campus, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak to you guys there. We have a couple updates I can run through, but I really want to focus on Q&A. I thought that was very helpful last time I visited. As you know, we opened some new things here on campus. We were able to launch a licensed Starbucks store, Memorial Union. We brought online Wells as a retail dining space. We were able to bring Sal's Pizza, doing new England franchise to the campus. We're going to bring a few of the VDCs, the Sweeties Burger, Partly My Cheesesteak, Buddy B's Cakes, and some others more that we're looking to enhance coming out of there. In addition, we also have now the largest fleet of cutie bots on any college campus, which is pretty incredible. And noteworthy for you, Maine, I'm really excited to bring that. We've started to roll out delivery from not just our retail units, but also our residential program as well. Did I miss that, the fourth mention?
In addition, it's in the works, and we're planning, the Hilltop is gonna go under a rental region. Inside, we'll bring a salad bar deli, it's gonna be put into, in the back area where the coffee bar is now, if you're familiar with that area, that'll be all salad bar. We're also gonna put in into the old C store that was up there, it's gonna be a U-Cook station, 6 U-Cook station where you cook your own food. That'll be serviced by chef, but also food, similar to what we got down in New York, that one station. We're gonna put 6 of them up there. There'll be a shake bar and there'll be some others. There'll also be a
Yeah, we're looking at Simply Zone. It's a program that provides hot and cold food that's free of either the top allergens. It's something to enhance the program. We hear overwhelmingly folks that have different food allergens are not feeling like they're well represented on the menu. We do have an option to work with our dietitians and navigate, but this would be a very safe space where people can feel comfortable interacting with food and have more variety.
So that's scheduled to start in November, mid-November, for this deli salad bar. I hope to have that finished to go into the first of the semester, spring, to have that online. The other will start, but we anticipated to bring it on in May, June, depending on how the construction goes. We have to do some little live construction The big all those plan in May, June, we'll bring on the new cook stations in that area there. So that should be something that come on, something, everything ready to go, so that's the hilltop. That's kind of the only thing that's out there.
Great. Are there any questions for the speakers? EOT Mills?
Yeah, so first of all, I gotta say, I'm part of the H2O complex area, so it's great to see Wells reopened, especially as someone who, been here since it used to be open before, so seeing the change is kind of nice, and I'm glad that's back. But I am wondering, Wells is great, Starbucks is great, the pizza place is great, but what do you guys plan to do to address the issue of providing breakfast to those in the H2O complex? Because I'm sure you'd agree, like, pizza from 11 a.m. till 4 isn't great, Starbucks every day isn't exactly the best, and the food truck closes for the season when it gets colder. So I want to know what you guys plan to do to actually bring food in. Just whereas I know the Wells Pub has the ability to cook food, cook breakfast there, because I believe you guys host the football games in the morning before their practice or something.
So, clarifying that the football team eats out of our catering department, they're the one that serves those, team meals. But yes, there's, we're interested in hearing what you guys are looking for. In addition to the wells you highlighted, also, we have this space that was Union Central that had an opportunity to look at developing as well, to address the future needs. I think, sometimes I hear from what was in the past, breakfast sandwiches and hot coffee. I feel like we addressed that with Starbucks. I understand that everyone has affinity for that brand. We do also have Quick Bites, and we have been running a food truck at breakfast. But I'm curious to hear from this group, and I'm going to put out some material. We're thinking like a QR code survey material coming out of October break in and around the Union Central area to find out what things aren't we serving on this campus. I'd rather not be redundant and offer a parallel experience to Starbucks. I'd rather bring new things, things that maybe we're not serving, whether it be vegan, vegetarian items, more health focused items. Perhaps working with the school and the student community, maybe a non-franchise option, because that seems to resonate with some of the student base. So we're looking to solicit some feedback here on Wells. We're trying to find some creative solutions for Wells. To put in a just bake machine heart. I'm not sure if you have a chance to see it. It does offer some warm items that's available 24/7. Just recently worked with the auxiliaries team to allow those HU to have enhanced access to heart, even if you're not a resident. So we're working on communicating directly with to those affected students in those buildings, let them know what those actions are. In addition, those on the HUO plan do have access to the unlimited QE subscription, and we are trying to enhance the level of staff. We are overwhelmed very positively with demand for Q-Bot delivery out of Hilltop Dining, but I think that's also a solution to bring the variety that you highlighted there.
Any other questions from the speaker? Senator Reader Seawood.
Yes, I had some concerns over this year. I've noticed a price hike in a lot of the items, like in the Bears Den, for example. I've noticed the quality go down. I've noticed that there's been a lot of portion skimping going on throughout the whole cafeteria, and I was wanting to know why that is.
Yeah, so we price our products, I use the term street pricing, similar to what you would find when you go out in the campus community. We do respect and understand that price is a sensitivity. We also need to make sure that we cover our costs. Without going to the business side of how college retailers works, if you don't charge enough on the retail side to cover those costs of the employees in this food, and I'll touch on that in a moment, you end up having to take some of the funding that should be allocated towards some of these construction projects and the residential programs to basically backstop that. Our goal is to run revenue neutral in retail. We're not looking to make a profit, we're just looking to cover our costs. I should mention, compared to some of the street prices I mentioned, like we try to make sure that we're in line with Dunkin' Donuts, Roma Joe's, some of the convenience stores, some of the restaurants, including Pat's, Harvest Food. Those are our direct competitors. But I'll also point out that we are a union environment here. We pay a fair wage and a very generous benefit package compared to some of those quick service restaurants. And we have a commitment to buy 27% of every dollar that we spend on food we buy. We're from farmers and producers within 150 miles of a UMaine campus. That's a system-wide effort that our team does. What that means is that every week we process over 1,000 pounds of fresh chicken that's never been frozen. It gets grilled, it gets sliced right here on campus, and that's what's ending up in your salad bar, in your burrito. And that is compared to some of our competitors that are using frozen types of product. We feel really strongly we commit to that. We do over 800 pounds of taco beef from Highland Farms, which is a local Maine farm. Again, processing Maine beef from Maine farmers, a lot of them that work with the co-op extension of UMaine, so we're supporting that business. A lot of our broccoli comes from Worcester County. We actually funded them in a freezer to flash freeze their product throughout the summer so we could serve local broccoli year round here. To your point, those all have costs. So we try to balance that need to support the local community with a serving product. To touch on your skipping the portion, I think that's a training issue that I need to address. The intention is not to skip, but to be consistent. I know it doesn't sound like much, but an extra scoop of sour cream costs 27 cents, right? So if you add 3, 4 of that, now you're adding an extra $1 to the price. What we don't want to do is have to raise prices. We prefer everyone getting fair value for their price. So we are coaching our team to reduce that price. I do point out, for instance, in a burrito bar, we don't upsell like some of our competitors like Chipotle. They're not charging extra for the guac. They're not charging an excessive amount for extra proteins. We try to hold that in line, but in order to hold that in line, we do need a portion of food.
Representative from.
Building on what you had said earlier to spell training, I've had talked to some people, mainly within the building and people on campus, just citing concerns about dining experiences in York and Hilltop. I know you're probably not necessarily exhausted from hearing it, but there have been, continuous concerns from that. And I guess building off from that, has there been a sort of turnover of workers within these dining areas? And that's why that there's been a sort of decline in food quality, or is there something else that's added on to it?
I'll address that in a couple of ways. With all the new things that we opened up this year, we had an unprecedented, we had an additional 40 new full-time staff. As you can imagine, hiring 40 staff at once, not all of them will be ready for this level of business. It's one of the busiest restaurants in the entire state in terms of how many people we feed. Hilltop Dining can see up to 1,400 people per day. We're feeding 35,000 or 3,500 a day, another 1,900 at work. Not everybody speaks. We are working to address some of those things. When you talk about quality, and I know it's a very individual experience, and there's micro there. I do want to touch upon where we were last year, the program where it is this year. I started the first day of classes last year as the leader of the organization. What I experienced was Hilltop Dining, when half the venues were closed. We weren't able to run stir fries. We didn't have made order eggs. We weren't able to run the burrito bar after lunch. We were on paper and plastic every day. Some days we do struggle with staff, I understand that. As you well know, on this camp community, in the banquet area, there's a rash of illness going around. And it's very challenging when you have 8 or 9 staff members for a shift called out. I apologize for that. That's on me to manage. And we're doing better to manage that. We do ask participation from our student employees. They do take a little bit of time to train. Have some strategies to improve that so that experience gets better. Jake Young and I have discussed an opportunity for maybe some of the student employees to move in a week early into the dorms if they're able to. So we can get them in, get them trained, so we have a better first couple week experience. So food quality, we're never done improving. I'd like to think that there's been some meaningful steps as we've worked with the student body to hear that feedback. We've converted some of the stations to self-service that were served before. That was the feedback that we got, that people like to interact with food differently. And then we did add venues, for instance, in our stir fry area, we do eggs made to order every morning. We heard fresh, we heard customization is really important. And we're trying to add more programs, like Dick mentioned, having a very large salad bar to try and achieve some of our goals with vegan, vegetarians, but also adding more venues allows those stations to get hit a little less hard, and I think we can spend a little bit more time on quality when we're feeding less people in each station. Thank you. That addresses some of your concerns.
Thank you.
Senator Waters.
I think it's really awesome to hear that you guys have local chicken and local foods. And I remember in my freshman year, the tags on meals used to say when they would come from Maine. So I'd really like to see that brought back so that I'd know what I was grabbing, that it was from Maine, because it's really cool to know. But this is just such a small part of the student body, so not every student knows for sure that their food is coming from Maine. So more advertising on that would be awesome. But that food from Maine is also, if you go to Hilltop after 7 p.m., it's all over the floor, all over the tables, and all over the dining hall. And like with street comparable prices on foods and me paying $15 to go to Hilltop as a non-meal plan student, I'm not going, it feels like you're charging me to go off campus when the quality of the building where I'm stepping on food as I go to a table that also is covered in French fries and food. You wouldn't see that off campus, and I just don't think it's acceptable, and it's new to this year. And like, there's been really good improvements this year, but that's one glaring thing that I've seen is really bad this year.
That's one thing that we talked about tonight. We were talking about whether we add another custodian in the evenings up there. That's one answer to that. The other answer is, we look at the student, participation, how we influence those people.
Yeah, and I acknowledge that. Thank you for sharing that. That's not the goal or expectation I have. I definitely, not that it matters maybe to you guys, but I personally ran a shift every Sunday for the first month. It's a close at Hilltop. So I experienced firsthand what you did. Maybe some of you saw me. Typically, I was in the room with the dustbin. Eventually I need to shift that to my team, and we're looking at maybe adding some labor to address that. Some full-time labor because some of our student body participants, folks have changed the amount of hours that they're willing to work and how to navigate that. So we need to address it in a different way. In terms of the local, the signage that we have is very curated and it's approved with allergen information. And it's not something that can customize. So we're looking at adding additional signage to call that out. We do have some signage about the main course in our facility. I understand that when you walk in the same facility every day, you can kind of get blind to it. I do myself. But we do have some call outs on some of the local we do, and we'll do more to highlight that. In addition, we're gonna have some special events in the units. You can check our Instagram feed, we post some of those events where we highlight local food, and we actually bring in some local vendors to help talk to the students about where the food comes from. I think that was a positive experience last year, let's repeat.
Representative Stankovitz, or I'm sorry, FEPC Chair.
It's not really a question. I am no longer living on campus, but when I was my freshman year and we shifted to Sodexo, I found myself shifting to eating a salad twice a day, every day, because I am a very strict vegetarian and there were no longer allergen labels on things. And I saw my peers shifting to that because they have peanut allergies or gluten-free allergies. I don't know how it looks now, but I just caution adding a salad bar to have something without allergens, because you can't live off of lettuce and cucumbers.
So to that point, and I apologize, it's not here today, if I could get a construction crew tomorrow and make it happen, the simple zone I mentioned is the answer to that. So we do have it at some other schools in the University of Maine system. I personally went out this summer and I visited 7 schools trying to see what's out there to bring the best of it. What this does is it is a hot entree. Usually it's a very simple protein, very simply seasoned, prepared, a grain and a vegetable that's served every day. It is not exclusive to those with allergy. Anyone can choose to eat there. They don't use any prepackaged dressings, everything's scratch made to reduce the possibility for contamination. It is a separate bespoke area in the dining hall, and we ask that all the people get there in a clean plate so we prevent cross contact. And what I found from talking to my peers at some really large schools in New England is even those without an allergen, particularly that are health focused or student athletes, find those clean ingredients, clean label eating really helps them meet their needs. And I'm working for next year to find funding to fund that at Hilltop, we find that in the community needs, and that's what we're pushing to bring back to the campus.
Thank you. Just for the sake of time, we'll do 2 more really good questions, maybe 3 if I'm feeling it, with President True.
So about a year out now, or a little bit more than a year, from the Sodexo transition, and then of course, the kind of bridging between UMSG and your team specifically. And you guys have kind of gotten some time to get the lay of the land, of course. And we hope that you're finding a home here. But I'm curious, from your perspective, just kind of where you guys feel as though you're not breaking through to students. I know for a fact it can be really hard to do so. So from your perspective, what areas are you kind of lacking in terms of getting through to students? And how can we help in that endeavor?
I would say the most immediate concern that I have, is someone who makes their career taking care of other people, right? And that's what we do, is when I hear some of the concerns about food safety or, food that's unacceptable. I know I'm asking a lot, but if you feel comfortable to address it in the moment with a member of my team, we can make an immediate impact. I don't have eyes everywhere. I really do try to touch base with my team, do travel with units every day. I eat at UMaine every day that I'm on campus, whether it's 5, 6, 7 days a week. I eat the same food. I purposely try to eat some of the vegan, vegetarian every single day because I find those are tend to be underrepresented. And I get the feedback from the chefs. But if at 7 o'clock at night at Hilltop, you're not finding something, they ran out of something, and the staff doesn't seem to be appreciative. All of my supervisors wear a blue polo shirt for a reason. Please approach them. Let them know if they can make an immediate impact, if not for you, for the next guest. To let them know that something's out, something's missing. If my team's not keeping up on the dining room, we can't find a napkin. I know when I'm out there and someone says something to me, I immediately drop what I'm doing and I try to rectify it. I know it's a bit of an excuse, you shouldn't have to do that. But, this is your dining room, this is your home. If you can give us that immediate feedback, I can make change. If you don't feel comfortable in the moment, we do have contact information on the Union Dining website. It's up at the top of the contact. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, it's on the left. There's an email address, there's a form to fill out. I read every single email. I try to respond within 24 hours to every single response. If it's a complicated issue, I tag some of my team members in. Just quick show of hands, who's ever used the feedback form for dining? Yeah, did you guys get a turnaround time that was acceptable to some of the issues you brought up? For the incident with the bowl at the Bears Den, I've personally had a couple people reach out. I tagged the leader and Cooper who runs it. I asked them to reach out and get them the next lunch on them and they take that feedback and share it with the team. They might be following instructions, a lot of one scoop, but they also need to be explaining why they're doing it, or maybe be a little less rigid. So by all means, give me that feedback. The other is right now we're finishing up 2 weeks of a survey. You all probably got an email today. I can't stress how important it is to fill that out. That is read not just by me here, share everything with the university through Dick and through the auxiliary team. That gives me a data set. I have aspirations for things like Simple Zone and UCook. But who are they going to listen to, me or you? I have last spring we got 800 responses, and all those comments tally up and we trend on themes. I present that to the school. Right? Dick and I weren't really sure about a UCook station, if that was a good fit for the campus student. We heard overwhelmingly that help people with food sensitivities, with people with special diets that they want to cook their own. And now we're rolling that out. That is directly because of the feedback. So please, today, if you have a chance to do it, share with your peers. That stuff really does matter. And it also tells us where we need to improve on. So that's a great way to capture that feedback. And then I'll ask you, what can I do as a leader? What can my team do to interact with this group and other groups on campus? I always prefer, if possible, in person. This discussion is very helpful for me, hearing it directly, as opposed to just, anecdotally through hearing some struggles. Specificity is really important. If you notice that everyone on Tuesday, the person at the cashier's station doesn't greet you, that's great. I can do something with that. To hear that, just something vague, like the food quality's not there. Anything you can give me specifics, I can have my chef look into. It really does help.
Okay, we'll do one more really good question, Senator Bone.
So in one of the last times in which you came and talked about it, there was talks of renovations in Wells, just kind of generally making it a whole shuffle around, increasing the UCook station, giving it more than just one bathroom.
I think you're talking about
York, yes, York, but giving it more than one bathroom.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you didn't mention that when you were giving your plans and pictures, so I was wondering if it was just.
Yeah, York's still out there on the table, if you look at it. If you haven't noticed, York is one of the older buildings on campus. It does have a few infrastructure issues we gotta deal with. So that slowed us down a little bit down there. That's the plumbing piece. The electrical is not large enough to handle any renovation you do in there that would bring, new technology, the cooking equipment, et cetera. But we do need to increase electricity. They are putting a new line around campus, so you're familiar with. Once they get that into place, we get electrical built up in the building, then we can look at the renovation down there. Right now, that's been placed on hold, so we ended up taking the station and moving it up to, just to get it online. We took the allergen piece, put that up there to get it online. We didn't want to wait for York. Because we went through some engineering things and stuff, and we'll be waiting another 6 months to a year to get that report back, and we want to make sure the students have it now. But we're not away from York yet, just gotta give some time to figure out how we're gonna go down and deal with the infrastructure you got.
And I think in summary, if you look, what we were looking at is very ambitious. What we don't want to do is a light touch renovation and kind of kick the proverbial can down the road. I know that's frustrating. I was an undergraduate too. I watched the pace of these things and it's never fast enough. But what I would hate to do to explain, right now, if I want to add a piece of equipment, I have to unplug something else. To just put in a new bathroom and to put a light touch in the dining room without adding any meaningful expansion, I think would be ultimately the goal of what the student body is looking for. And right now, until we add some more kitchen spaces, I can't guarantee that cross contact with the subway zones. I can't guarantee the allergen. And I really want to make sure that's future proofed as best as we can. Thank you for bringing that up.
If you want to go down and look at York with me, they can show you what we're talking about, because there is some things you got to do now. And part of the renovation was to redo the kitchen, but in order to do that, right, it costs a lot of energy to make that happen. And on the other side of that was we had it down to 2.7, which came out to about 3.2 million to do the York renovation. But that was not doing the kitchen out back. We got to stay with that. We made some station frontage up, changed. We got the bathroom in, but some of the new cook wasn't gonna make it. So we had to do that value engineering thing, and it got to the point where it's not really gonna be the amount of money we need to put in there to bring something that's gonna be there for years to come and also serve what you need. So the kitchen needs to be done. We need to look at that. That's kind of where we're at. So we've done that, just now figure out how to move forward with it.
And I'm also cognizant that we as the organization will work for having grand ambitions to bring some of these projects to fruition quickly. I apologize that they are delayed. We all know that they're delayed. I've been putting messaging out there. I'm hesitant to bring up things that I can't promise that's in a reasonable timeframe. I think it's unfair to the campus community. So I'm trying to be more cognizant of picking things that I can actually go within a year, right? When folks are attending school and actually see that result. So when I mention things like Union Central, that's something I can solicit feedback, work on during the year, deploy during the summer, reasonably have ready for the fall. Some of these other projects have other components that are beyond scope down that I can't control.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming. Like to kind of announce that 2 people who were great contacts to get in touch with Sodexo on auxiliary services are our services chair as well as our food and dining affairs chair. So I'm assuming that any other questions, comments, concerns, or ideas would be great to funnel through them. If you're more than welcome to stay, if you're welcome to leave, it's totally up to you. Thanks so much. And with that, we will move on to executive reports. Questions will be open to non-members. Senator Butters.
I'd like to limit all reports to 3 minutes.
Seconds. Here in a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, it's adopted. Any discussion? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. All reports for the rest of the agenda will be timed for 3 minutes. Starting with executive reports with the president.
We want to time me?
I'm doing it.
Okay. So I'll run through this pretty quick. I actually don't have much to talk about. Number 1, lockers are here. Super exciting. They were supposed to come this coming Wednesday, but they didn't. They came halfway through my class, which I left, and then ran around this building like chicken with my head cut off to find some help. Speaking of help, I want to do a special thanks to Senator Ricker, for specifically, where is he? For specifically helping me, unbox them, or do the, majority of it. We filled the Wade Center with a bunch of cardboard and then we emptied it, so I appreciate that. Also, thanks to CNTSB's Brittany McPhee, CSI's James Salidas, sorry, our Jeff, and then Vice Presidents Peterson, Lehman, and Bob. Next, new business, I had my meeting with CSI's Catherine Huntress about the esports. We went over the memorandum of understanding. Essentially, memorandum of understanding, if you do not know, is a it is an official agreement, but it's not legally kind of as intense as a contract would be. But if anybody wants to see that for any educational reasons, let me know. It's a very short document, but sometimes they pop up in student government, so I thought I'd ask. Next, I accidentally started a conversation, a pretty big conversation with Dick Young about parking. I was in a residential housing study committee. Essentially, we got on the topic and I will be pursuing a meeting with Senator Michoud tomorrow, actually, I believe it is, to discuss kind of the issue of there not being enough red passes near complexes. Moving on, joint dinner with GSG next Wednesday. We're doing the GSG rep election. Whoever will win that, I will include you in that. But the 16th, we will be doing that. I'm picking back up the Syllabus Bank project. I'm picking back up the Town Hall series. My current 5 concepts are UMaine's budget with the CFO, day-to-day with student life, academics with the provost, student safety with campus security and police, and then finally pizza with the president. Hopefully that sounds okay. If anybody has any ideas, please let me know. And then finally, I started conversations with Jerry Calmore about the 2nd annual Lewiston Vigil. I'm pricing things out and looking at getting CSI, Student Life, and a few other bodies to sponsor some of the items. It all came up to about $150, and whatever that we can't get covered elsewhere, I will cover with my exec fund and a report.
Thank you. Now, for my report, after we get back from fall break, which just a reminder, there's no Senate next Tuesday because of such, I'm going to begin scheduling meetings with senators and committee chairs just to check in and make sure that everybody has the resources that they need, because that's what the job is to provide those for you. Everything that you need to be successful student leaders. I'll also be making sure that everyone is fulfilling their requirements, or at least putting forward the effort to do so. If you're struggling to fulfill your requirements to be a senator, don't hesitate to get in touch with me or our Vice President of Student Leadership. Lots of club and board property still remains in my office, and I encourage everyone to come check it out or help me figure out where it rightfully belongs. If you don't have the space, just let myself or President Tripp know. Also, I've been in touch with one Dr. Elizabeth Allen, professor and program coordinator for higher education, who brought to my attention that there's currently a nationwide movement for some anti-hazing policy. I did inform her that this is a nonpartisan, nonprofit association, so we could do that. She did give me more information though, but if anybody is interested in that kind of effort, just please let me know and I can get you in touch. Also, as you can see, this is a new setup. This is something that a lot of people have suggested to me. I'm going to field people's opinions on it at the end of the Senate meeting. Next, we have the Vice President for Financial Affairs.
Hey everyone, so last week I sent out my first blast of emails requesting funding request forms from all of the department heads. And as of now, I've received a handful of responses back with actually pretty good results. So people actually seem like it's a good idea and departments are approaching with pretty positive energy, which is great. So I hope that keeps up. As of last week, I forgot one thing to announce, but UBC approved the budget adjustment of the mountain biking club. They just needed to move more money towards entry fees. And then as of today, I approved the change of date of the pickleball item that was requested 2 weeks ago. They had a tournament that was canceled because of the hurricane down south, and that is now on November 9th to November 10th. Our starting unallocated today is $67,949.45. I made some transfers to the office budget totaling $1,278 so that we can actually get Memphis a computer, so his desk is not empty. And then the PSE had $48 moved so he can pay his telephone bill. For our consent agenda today, we have the back Fathers for $960, Maine Admin Club for $792, 3D Printing Club for $553, Hillel, meeting for Hillel of $40, $200, and $70. And for our resolutions, we have Model UM for $1,120, the Navigators for $1,063, and then the American Institute of Chemical Engineers for $1,063.
Thank you. Vice President of Student Organizations.
Oh. Okay, I was out of town for a conference last week, but BPSL Oldfields graciously chaired, that's a seat, thank you to her. Three clubs obviously past preliminary, Maine Society of Biology, American Marketing Association, which we may hear from later, and men's club basketball. I'm also obligated to report that women's rugby came to SOC for emergency recognition, which they received. I'm also trying to do club spotlights with the OCR, so please let me know if you're aware of any clubs doing some cool stuff right now and want to talk about it.
Thank you. Vice President of Student Entertainment.
Hello, everyone. We are a month out from the Trevor Wallace Show, which is very exciting. We have, as of right now, 303 people signed up, which is very exciting as well. Abby got the posters in and we picked them up. So we're gonna hopefully put those in the hot spots on campus, so like dining halls, the library and the union, so that way people can just scan it real quick as they're walking through their day. We're gonna be tabling on Friday from 10 to 12 for the show as well. And I am additionally going to get hopefully a big poster to put outside of the offices because we have that poster thing now, so that'll be very exciting as well. As for the movie tickets, last week, we gave out 235, which means for the 5th week in a row, we've given out more than 200. Just for a comparison, in these first 5 weeks, we've given out more than we did in the first 12 weeks combined last year. So, I would like to have a discussion on that very soon again, because that is very concerning if there is no changes, because we would run out if there is no changes. Additionally, student entertainment is going to be working with CSI to host an escape room during the holiday weekend. I don't know all the details yet, but there's a meeting coming up next week or something to discuss it. And so I will give you more information once I know it. And then we are starting to put a lot more effort towards the spring show. So this week or like next week and the week after are your last chances to join SEC for the spring concert and be like on the concert committee. Otherwise, tough luck. You can still join student entertainment and be involved in other ways, but we're trying to make sure people don't like join the concert committee the week before the show, get the benefits that people that have worked on it have gotten and report.
Thank you. Vice President of Student Leadership.
Hi, everyone. I've been working on looking at the policies surrounding the leadership scholarship this week. So I'm meeting with the foundation tomorrow to talk more about that and adjusting it so it's open to all of the undergraduate student body. And the deadline for the scholarships this year are on Friday, so have all your friends apply. I also had the first SLD meeting today. Shout out to all the senators who showed up. I think we had a fun meeting. We were discussing some of the plans for the Senate retreat potentially, as well as a broader student leadership retreat in collaboration with CSI, and some other ideas and thoughts for some events that we could plan around leadership. The meetings are from 5 to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, so an hour right before our Senate meetings are. I encourage you to join us. It's in the calendar, Riley. And I will continue working on the scholarship guidelines for the rest of the week, and then FEPC chair David and I have also been working through Senate elections, which we'll talk about tonight. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Advisor to Student Government.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to kind of give you all my annual plea for safety. So the weather is starting to turn, things are getting colder out. Exam scores are starting to settle in for the semester. Folks are starting to melt down a little bit, and parties are ramping up. So I just want to remind everyone that I would really appreciate, and everyone would appreciate, if you're watching out for each other. If you're out somewhere in the middle of the night and somebody looks like they need some assistance, this is your community. Help them the way that you would want to be helped. We've got some mental health stuff going on campus. People need a friend. Somebody needs a friend, be that friend. Reach out and be that friend. Don't you roll your eyes at me. So, it's just, there's some scary stuff going on. We've had some transports that have to do with alcohol lately. Some of the people are alive because their friends helped them. And that's not a joke at all. There's been a lot of cocaine around at parties. You can't legally obtain cocaine, which means that it could very well be cut with fentanyl. If it is cut with fentanyl, then that could be bad news for the user. So we have fentanyl test strips available for free in student wellness. We have Narcan trainings all the time. Student wellness puts those on. Panhandle and IC just did one. So just keep an eye out for each other, please. It's, you know, as we get into the fall, this is our community. Let's be there for each other.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Questions are open to non-members. Representative Guzman.
Yeah, I have a question for our VPMA law. What departments have reached out?
So we got Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I've spoken with the Department of Languages, and then the Department of what's the chemical engineering? It's the technology departments. I forget which ones I had.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
And how many in total did you email? Like, how
I
many
got-
departments in total do you have on the list?
So as of right now that I've reached out to all of the engineering school and all the departments underneath that, the languages school, MVS, and then music and the music arts.
Any other questions for the speakers? Senator Baum.
Question for UPSC Lehman. I've had some members of the constituency reach out to me, mention that they've been interested in joining the SEC committee. They put their name on like the email list that was at the org fair, but they haven't heard back from you yet. Do you have any comment on that?
I sent out an email at the very beginning, like after we collected it, no one responded. I can send out another, I can follow up email, but. Please follow up email.
Any other questions for the speakers? President Tripp.
I just have something extra, just real quick. It would be super duper helpful, for our clerk, if for anybody who didn't end up sending their, just generally, their reports to Jeff, if you could just email them to her, it would be really helpful. That's all.
Any other questions? I have a question for President Tripp.
Yeah.
Are you aware that with our current agenda, whoever becomes, well, there won't be a graduate student rep regardless of what happens, because they will only be nominated and we have something this week? Well, what I'm saying is nominations are currently on the agenda, not elections. So there won't be a graduate student rep for the dinner next week.
I encourage someone to put an election on this, agenda. We've only been waiting for a long time.
You can do that when we get to that line item on the agenda.
Meetings have to happen.
Sorry, Representative Dorchin.
Yeah, so since I officially had held a
Do
position.
you have a question for a speaker?
Yeah, or for what's the statement, I'm sorry, towards President Tripp. Like I was saying before, since I held a position previously for GSG and I continue to fill in that role. Just putting it out to General Student Senate, if an election doesn't happen tonight. I plan to go to the event anyways, and if I'm not elected to the role, there'll be a prize.
Question? What's the question for President Tripp?
It said it was a statement, I'm so sorry.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we will move on to the periodic reports, starting with the Faculty Senate Student Representative, 3 minutes. I'm sorry, Senator Ricker.
A motion to limit. Sorry, a motion to limit reports to 90 seconds.
I did hear a second, if that is the pleasure of the Senate, if it's not, we call for a division, so we vote on it.
Division.
Great. Acknowledging this motion. All those opposed? Seeing all those abstaining? Great, what we're doing is we are now voting because somebody called for a division on whether or not we acknowledge this motion. If you're a senator, your hands are expected to be raised. All those in favor of acknowledging this motion? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority or seeing a clear not majority, that fails. Moving on to periodic reports, starting with the Faculty Senate.
The next Senate meeting for faculty is October 23rd, so the week after that will be my next report.
Thank you. Next is the Board of Trustees.
No report.
Great. Next is the Chair of the FDPC.
Okay, hi everyone. I have been working on election timelines and some resolutions that you will see in new business. And I have been meeting with DPSL Oldfield and Vice President Peterson to stay on top of the expectations for these elections. Also, FEPC met today. I still need more senators. I only have one. So if you want to come, please do. It's in the calendar, or you can always message me if that time is over.
Thank you. Next is the student legal representative. I'm sorry, she was excused. That means there's no GSS rep, so Orono Town Council is.
Okay, since this was the first in-person meeting that I attended this semester, I used the public comment section to introduce myself. After public comment, there was an in-depth presentation about the Orono Arts Fest and what it might look like in 2025. Two councilmen highlighted that it would make more sense to put the festival in the fall so students can incorporate it or relaunch it with Orono Days. There was a very avid discussion about the way in which the town of Orono handles noise, disorderly property and rental unit registration ordinances. It came up during that meeting, and there was disagreement. A second in-depth discussion was held on how much community involvement there would be during the Route 2 corridor project. Another debate ensued. Then the council voted to develop a plan to install a rapid rectangular flashing beacon at the intersection of Maine and Westbrook Avenue. Importantly, I did not know this, Councilor Sandra Berthasell is no longer a part of the Orono Town Council, so there will be with the national election to fill that position. End of report.
Thank you. Now to the Old Town City Council liaison.
No report.
All right, representative of Military and Veteran Student Affairs.
Hello, I met with another sophomore cadet in the NRTC named Stephen Conroy, and he filled me in on some of the different events planned coming soon. The 9th and 10th of November is when the Army versus Navy flag football game occurs. The same weekend is the military ball, and one of their physical training tests for the NRTC is going to be quite busy in that one weekend. Reached out to Cheryl Hill, who coordinates basically everything for NRTC regarding volunteering opportunities both in and out of school. And I'll keep you posted about that and report.
Thank you. I have the report for the Director of Communications. I'm timing myself. This week I kept up with the Instagram and YouTube per usual. I posted updated exec office hours to the Instagram page. I'm planning to do a fun video on a tour of the Weight Center with VPSE Lehman and a VPSE Paul. No? Yeah. Okay. I also printed posters for the fall show. End of report. Next, we have the Director of Technology.
No report.
Next, we have the security representative.
I reached out to Campus PD, but I've yet to receive comment back.
Next, we have the undergraduate research liaison.
I met with Cougar today and they presented their plans for the upcoming student symposium. The time frame, at least as proposed, is as follows. Abstract submission date when it opens is going to be January 22nd. It's going to close on March 14th. Posters will be due to printing. If you need printing services to print them off on April 4th. The setup for the event will be April 10th, and the event day will be April 11th. So that's a Friday. Volunteers, they're always looking for more volunteers. Sign up is live currently. And they'd also like me and my role to kind of handle working on the volunteer side of things, and all as well as training once we get to it later. On top of also possibly running an info table this year at the event like we did last year. Finally, their new goal for this year is to break down silos. So they want more cross-disciplinary work between both professors and presenters. So they want people who are outside of their own discipline. So they have like biomedical people judging history or environmental science judging the music or stuff like that. Just as a general kind of making it easier to have judges sign up. And they also have 2,500 raised already for the upcoming symposium. And a report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? President Tripp.
What, if any, for our Cougar rep, are you expecting in terms of a UMSG allocation toward this event?
There was nothing mentioned of UMSG allocation, no expectation. I think all they would like is manpower.
Any other questions from the speaker, Senator Chang?
Question for FEBC Peer Segments. You had mentioned in the past that if a senator expects to be involved in an election, that they should probably abstain from joining the committee. Is that still the case?
So you can be on the committee. The Senate elections will be a portion of this year. And they're pretty much all fleshed out. So joining the committee, if you are in at-large or business or CLAS, isn't a direct conflict. You just will not be involved in any resolution passing or decision making concerning their elections. But you can't always join, just, I might have to ask you to step out.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers? Senator Sparks?
Question for Senator Bone, how do you sign up to
Volunteer, they have it under their page. For the student symposium, they updated it over the course of the summer. I can send a link out to do that. There will be more talks about it coming up in the future, especially next semester.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers? VP Oldfield?
This is not a question, but more a point of information, I guess. I have a good contact for the police department from tabling over the summer if the security rep would like to meet me.
Any other questions from the speakers? Seeing none, we will move on to reports of standing committees. Marketing and Public Relations does not have one, so we'll move to.
All right, overall again tonight, I apologize that it's becoming a pattern, but I won't let it be like that. If anyone is interested, I've already had someone come up to me and ask to be part of the committee, because it technically is a committee, so we can use some extra hands, especially after I get out of class. I basically go straight to OWA and pick up everything and set it up, so definitely good to have that. We wouldn't have like meeting times or anything, but yeah, we just need some extra hands. And we can make some progress. And thank you to Senator Fang for bringing it to my attention. It is Senator Waters' birthday today, so happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you for taking personal time to be a student leader. We appreciate it. Next, down the standard report. That's yes. All right, next we'll move on to policy and procedure.
All right, we passed one resolution at the last policy and procedure meeting. We have some potential resolutions of the next one, but I want to flush out some of the policy details before I share with the Senate what we're gonna do. But after formal business at the next Poly Pro meeting, I'm going to do a how to write resolution workshop. So I can't tell you exactly what time it will be because I want to finish the Poly Pro business first during the meeting and then do the workshop. But expect Poly Pros at 10, so you know what you should do. You should just join Poly Pro at 10 and then just stay after for the how to write a bill resolution workshop. End of report.
Thank you. Political activism.
No reporting.
Services.
Fall break is around the corner, so if you or your friends are taking Coffee Coach lines home, make sure you use the $15 discount. As President Tripp said, me and him will be speaking with Department of Transportation Services about reallocation of parking spots. And it just happens to coincide with, in Red Lake right now, there's discussions about giving RAs their own parking spots, so it just happens this meeting comes at the perfect time, so I'll be bringing that up too. And as also President Tripp said, if you have any questions for Dick Young, I can send them along in the report.
Thank you. Academic affairs.
There's just a few things I want to report out from my meetings with Dr. Marzilli and my committee. Dr. Marzilli mentioned setting up office hours so students can meet and discuss academic affairs issues directly. We will be meeting with the dean of the bookstore to talk about AMP because my committee received a student report from DOT Kelsey Justin Box. He also wants to create focus groups to touch on his theme for the strategic revisioning process, which is to optimize student support services. The National Institute of Student Success, which is a nonprofit out of Georgia State, which is apparently known for student success, We'll be conducting interviews with faculty, staff, and students to create a playbook for the university to improve student success. The timeline for beginning to implement these changes are 2+ years. Finally, the provost, in combating the issue where SCS cannot offer proctoring for time extension accommodations right now, has hired 6 grad students to proctor tests 5 days a week from 2 to 6 p.m. through the fall semester. This is happening in Murray Hall, which is unfortunately in the middle of a big construction zone right now, so do keep that in mind. End of report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Baum?
This is for Senator Bishop. Do we have like usage reports for how many people have used the ticketing system yet for the buses?
The other day, I think the first day 9 people used it. That's all I heard. But I assume around, I'm gonna definitely ask more after each break. That's when people are gonna use it.
Senator Waters?
Point of information, my email is on the ticket that they get when they go and pick it up, and I've gotten many emails with lots of questions, so it's being used.
Yeah, me too.
Any other questions for the speakers? President Tripp?
Services Committee, can graduate students use the tickets? No. I just wanted to double check.
Would you mind saying that below?
No, I met with the graduate, it's not.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we will move on to reports of special committees, starting with the undergraduate student symposium committee.
The undergraduate student symposium committee will be meeting every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. It's open, obviously, to everybody here, but also open to general student body just to give input on when, on what they would like to see happen this year or in future years. And more.
Food and dining affairs?
Senator Cowan and I had a really great meeting with Matt and Dick Young last night. Thank you, Casper, for playing good cop and less good cop with me. I think that was really productive. I will drop the full minutes in the Senate chat later tonight. Hashtag my committee saw it first, hashtag join FBA. I'm still working on setting up tabling for after fall break, but my immediate project is going to be a vegetarian student focus group. End of report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? VP Oakfield?
This is a question for Senator Bone. What day is the on day for your bi-weekly committee meetings?
Not tomorrow, but the Wednesday after break will be the start and then alternating from there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the speakers? Advisory Sudoku?
I thought hashtag is over.
I'll bring it back.
We're reclaiming it for millennials.
Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, we will move into representative board reports, starting with commuter and non-traditional students.
Good one, moments. It was.
Time starts now.
It'll start when he talks.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I was told that this report was sent to my email, but I have not received that information. All right, so
We can come back to your report. I'm going to keep looking for it.
if that would be acceptable.
Yes, it will.
We'll read
We'll come to the honors college student activities.
Hi, everyone. So wasn't a very busy week in the Honors College. Dr. Weinauer and I, as well as the executives of SAB and a variety of other feedback from faculty and other students. We are doing pumpkin painting on Monday, October 28th on the Estabrook lawn from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Other classes get out at that time. So if you're walking out of 391 or 170, if you are in honors, please come by, or not. If you're not in honors, we accept anybody. I would love to have people show up. March Against Domestic Violence, I'm sure other people are going to mention it, is on October 18th at 5 p.m. I wrote in my report a different location than it actually was. It's actually at the steps of Folklore Library, and we will be walking towards the field house. I was wrong. I didn't know that at first, but there will be a remembrance ceremony, and I was asked today by Maureen Jones to place a flower to remember a victim of DV, and other members of SAB were asked to do the same, and I'm hoping that they do as well. Our next Maine Annual Pack-Out meeting is on Thursday, and we will be finding a day to hold the event in April. We're most likely going to have a weekday at the end of April during Spirit Week. That seems to be the best plan, and I hope as many senators and representatives can attend as possible. End of report.
Interfraternity council.
Yeah, tomorrow we have a mandatory new member education at 7 o'clock for all members that joined this semester. And due to this meeting, we'll have a joint IFC and Ben Hill meeting. And other than that, intramural playoffs start this week for fraternity league.
Thank you. Economic council.
So AOPI is having a philanthropy event on the mall tomorrow from 12:30 to 4:30. It's like a little barbecue. And then we are having Greek Week on October 21st to 25th, and applications for the next panel and council came out today, and they're due on November 1st. End of report.
Senior class council.
Not time things coming to fruition yet, but we continue to meet on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. This week, our meeting will be held via Zoom. You can email myself or Izzy Kostelnik for the link.
Athletic advisory council.
So SAC began 50-50 with Maine's first game against KIC. We will continue 50-50 with football's next home game against Villanova. Cross country has an away meet against Franklin Pierce University on 10-11. Sumandai had a great opening home meet against UMB the past weekend. It was a 2-day meet. And SAC will be meeting Monday, October 22nd at 6 p.m. Hockey also has a home game coming up against Army on the 12th, so I better see everyone there filling the signs. Field hockey has a home game against Floyd Cross this Sunday, so be there as well. And report.
We'll return to CAMS.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. My apologies about the roughness in my report, technical difficulties for whatever reason. So CANS and CNCSP had a meeting on Monday, and it was kind of cut short due to the power outage that was affecting the CCA, the 1944 hall, which also included the Wade Center, so that slashed the time. So we had contacted Blackbird Cinemas for a movie night that's gonna be coming up during Halloween weekend, not Halloween weekend, I'm so sorry, Halloween week, I forgot the exact date, but I think it's Thursday. We're still in between for like a movie, but it's gonna be a good one. We have started reaching out to caterers for a finals week study sandwich events, just for people to stop by, like to the Wade Center, have food. We are also working on a project for getting lights fixed on the trails, just for like community safety wise. So you'll be hearing about that more as information comes in. And we are also looking into doing a collaboration with Blackbird Exchange for putting in a donations box in the Wade Center. So if anyone had any items that they want to donate, they can just put it in there. I think it's gonna be like a good sized box, so. Yeah, and report.
All right, are there any questions for the speakers? Representative Levesque.
Point of information, I forgot something in my report. We have the dates for the It's Personal campaign, which is our personal care drive that we run. We are hoping to get more people involved, and if UMSG would like to have a box, I'll reach out about that, but it's going to be November 12th to the 22nd.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we will move on to community association reports, starting with Student Heritage Alliance Council.
Yeah, hello everyone, I have less than a formal report tonight. Shaq did not meet last week, because most of the representatives, cannot attend the meeting. But on my end, a lot of the emails that needed to be sent were sent. So in the next 2 weeks, you will be hearing a lot of news because I have to sit down with a lot of people, which is gonna be so much fun. But events are being solidified, so expect Shaq Member and Shaq December to be big days with a lot of events coming your way. So be excited. End of report.
Wildstein.
This Friday, Wildstein is collaborating with Swell to host their LGBT party from 12 to 1 p.m. I actually made a mistake in my, well, not a mistake in my report. I said it was room 145, and then I got an email an hour later that it was being moved to room 312, both in the Memorial Union. And there will be tea, record painting, snacks, and music. So that's this Friday, the 11th. And then Wildstein is hosting the Coming Out Monologues on October 16th at 7 p.m. Also in Room 312 in the Union, which is just a chance for members of the queer community to be able to share their stories of coming out and self-discovery. And also we'll have comic nights. End of report.
And International Student Association.
Hello, everyone. Last week's coffee hour was a success. Everyone enjoyed this week's and for this week's coffee hour, we'll be providing links for everyone's going to be on that dishes. We're also planning to organize fun everything. We also started planning for a culture fest, and if anyone's interested in having exhibition at the table, please reach out to me. Yesterday we went through the grant application we received, and started discussing what prices we can offer for the rest of the exhibit tables. Also, I'm excited to announce that students from Pakistan have reached out to us to host their cultural presentation for their National Food Coffee Hour next week after the fall break. And later this semester, students from Bangladesh are also hosting coffee hours. And we're happy to see much cultural engagement. And this will now see everyone excited working in North Labs. The union for another coffee hour in report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? President Church?
My question is for the ISA rep. Are you guys still looking for judges for Culture Fest?
Yes.
Good to know. All right.
Advisor Sadako?
When is the coming out flag raising?
Oh, it is this Friday at 11 a.m. to like 11:30ish. Okay. Oh, it's where the flag is outside the bookstore. On the mall. It's on the mall. I'm sorry. But it is at 11 a.m. on Friday.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, if it is the pleasure of the Senate, we will move into our 5-minute recess. Great. We will reconvene at 7:21. We will now reconvene, starting with the consent agenda. Senator Waters?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Moving on, there is no unfinished business, so we will enter a new business, starting with 45S EBC 108, an act to allocate funds to the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. Representative Guzman.
Weren't we gonna do American Marketing Association in new business?
We can do the motion that after we do this. Is the American Institute of Chemical Engineers here. Go ahead and step up to the podium.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy Roy. I'm the president for AP. So basically what our club does is we just try to get a bunch of chemical engineers from freshmen to senior, get them together and be able to like network and know a little bit more about the industry, primarily because at Maine, they focus only on public paper. They don't really talk about like pharmaceuticals or grad school. So basically a big trip that our club does is we go to AT Nationals, which this year is in San Diego. So basically all the way across the US. And it's pretty pricey this year. But it allows for a lot of networking opportunities with career professionals and also with other chemical engineers. And there's also a grad fair that they have there that has a bunch of schools across the US. And they also have a job fair, which has a bunch of different industries from pharmaceuticals to, I don't know what else, but there's a lot of different job opportunities that we don't quite get here. So that's why we're.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Weber?
How many members are going to this?
There are going to be 11.
Any other questions from the speakers? Senator Fang?
Sorry, I'll let you cover this. Are the members paying or out of pocket at all? How much is that?
No, so basically kind of what happened is that it was like the early bird registration was 2 weeks into school. So it was really hard to like get people over the summer communication wise, just to figure out who wanted to be on the trip. And then with that, there was a lot of moving parts, so we needed to know who was going in order to get registration, but we also needed names for flights. So it's hard to request an $100 after everyone had already committed, especially if they don't have the money.
Are there any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
700 up to pass as amended.
Do I hear a motion to accept the committee's recommendation? Senator Waters?
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Thank you. You're more than welcome to stay or go. Next, we will move on to 45S EBC 112 and act to allocate funds to the navigators. Do we have navigators here?
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm the treasurer for Navigators, and we're a Christian organization on campus that focuses a lot with student outreach and discipleship. And we're requesting funding to go on our annual fall retreat. We go over, we meet up with some other NAVS chapters at different universities. We have fellowship, discipleship together, go over some stuff, and yeah.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Ricker?
Yeah, could you talk a bit about why this fellowship is important to you guys in such a lot?
Well, NAVS is a national organization, and we really like to try to keep ties with the universities close. And we just value it's a Christian fellowship, and the whole premise behind it is spending time with God and other believers. And we believe that having access to a Christian community is very important. So we always try to have that available on campus, and we try to foster connections, starting chapters at other universities as well. And yeah. Did I answer your question?
All right. Are there any other questions? Senator Micho?
How many members are going?
We have 12 people attending, 11 of them are undergraduates, and one of them is a graduate student who is not included in that funding request.
Senator Ball?
Do you see asking for any other funding over the course of the next year?
We have a spring retreat that we may be asking funding for. I don't know much about the amount, but it most likely will be less than this.
President Tripp?
What plans does Navigators have for fundraisers for the rest of the year?
So for fundraising, usually we'll run some form of bake sales, we'll run some raffles as well. And also just generally, occasionally we've gotten donations from local members of the community just to kind of help out and,
Please let us know if you need help advertising this.
Senator Ball?
Do members pay any dues? And if so, does the national organization take any kind of those?
The national organization doesn't take any kind of dues, and we don't charge annual dues. We do charge a $50 fee for going on the trip to help kind of cover costs for that. But there aren't any annual dues, and the organization will get kind of.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
600 up to pass as amended.
Senator Martin?
I move to accept the committee's recommendation.
If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. We will now move into a period of discussion. Period for debate. Senator Bone?
I had stepped out of EDC when this came to the table. I would be in favor of amending it to a lower amount, considering that most of the clubs that we do see coming in, only this is like they come in asking for their one trip for the year, and we give them similar funding to what they're asking for one of their 2 big trips for the year. And so I could see amending this down to around like $750 a person, actually.
Yes. Senator Bone?
I would like the motion to amend the amount down to $750.
Do I hear a second? Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion at hand? Any debate? Senator Waters?
I feel like 750 is a random number. What's your thought process behind 750?
Thought process on 750 is that it puts us almost even with how much each of their members are considering kind of putting in towards it for how much the members pay and for any fundraising that they do throughout the year and that kind of stuff. And it also gives them, a bit of overhead. They said that this would be likely bigger than any event that they would go for in the spring, so we're asking more funding now, so that we're allocating more funding to this, which gives us more headroom to work with for a spring semester event, which they want to ask for funding for.
Representative Merchant.
I would like to actually direct to questions to the speaker, with this sort of like amendment on the floor. I want to get your thoughts on this.
No, that's not.
Asking questions.
Yeah, you can ask some questions, not the candidate.
No, yeah, I wanted to like at least, okay, so my question is for this is if this was amended down to $750, would this affect your trip in any way?
Yes, we most likely wouldn't actually be able to do the trip. We would have to kind of look at rebalancing some stuff and maybe talking to other stuff for some help, like scholarship wise. But if it extends, if it does get cut down to $750, we most likely would have to cancel the event.
Senator Martin.
This is also a question to the speaker. Did you go on your spring trip last year?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
BPSO, Brock, did you so?
Oh, yeah, so just because of the additional in-person costs or per person costs that we incurred, if this was amended, you'd have to cancel the event, you think?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You'd have to cancel the event because of the additional per person cost that this amendment would incur.
Most likely.
Senator, we'll do Senator Chilton. That's what we need.
Is there any fundraising you think you could accomplish between now and then? To cover that difference in cost?
We can try. The event is the weekend of October 18th, so that is a bit of a narrow time constraint, but yeah, we can certainly try to get to that now.
President Sure.
What was the plan, just out of curiosity, and maybe this is something that us as a Senate needs to do better, but what was the plan, say none of this got approved?
If none of this got approved, I honestly don't think we'd be able to go on the trip.
You just drop it, okay?
Yep.
Senator Sparks.
Would it be possible if we did the $750 and then we really helped out with advertising on your fundraising, and do you think that we could make that work?
That may be possible. I'd have to kind of run it over with a few other members in leadership and kind of see how we all feel about that, but that would definitely be helpful, yeah.
Senator Ricker, just a reminder, we only have period for this.
I can debate, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. This is a really important trip to them. I just think we should fund it as is at the 1,063 and just so they go on the ball, which we have a trip.
Senator Waters.
I agree, and I wanna add that if we fund this in full now and then it gets to spring semester and we can't fund their trip in the spring semester, at least they went on one trip this year versus if they can't do it now, they come back in the spring semester and then we're out of money by then. We're not out of money, but strapped like for cash then too. Then they get no trips at all. And I'd rather have them have one and then not do the spring one because we can't afford it in the spring than say we might not be able to afford it in the spring, so you can't do the one now, stuff like that.
Senator Weber, then we'll do President Sure.
Which trip do you think is more important this fall or this spring?
The fall.
President Sure.
I just want to, just more as a debate, if we fund this one and then tell them right now, because we funded this one, that we will be unlikely to fund the next one, it gives them a long time to plan for that, versus not funding this one, and then sitting them kind of on the same situation, except they have a long time to wait for our funding, which is a weird backwards way to do that. So I think we should fund this in full.
Any other points for debate? Representative Belair?
I'd just like to point out to everyone saying, like, can you do more fundraising? By saying that now you are functionally giving them with fall break 5 business days to accomplish that. And against the second President Tripp's point, that if it's between giving them less funding at this one or the next one, saying that the next one will likely have less funding, will give them a lot more time to plan for that.
Any other points for debate? Senator
This is a
Martin.
question to the speaker. Student government fund the spring this year, this semester, last year, and also the one in the fall too.
I'm sorry.
Did student government fund your spring trip and your fall trip?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? Wait, what are we doing? Yes, we're doing in favor of the amendment to drop it down to $750. Perfect. All those, Senator Baum, are you raising your hand? Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a non-majority, that dies. We are now back to debating the as it says on your agenda. Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Next, we will move on to 45S EBC 117 and act to allocate funds to Model UN. Go ahead and step up to the podium.
Hello, my name is Grace Kelso. I'm the president of Model UN / International Affairs Association. The mission of our club is to develop our members' diplomacy, speech, and writing skills while discussing topics in foreign affairs. We compete at Model UN conferences throughout the United States and internationally, where we get to represent Maine, meet members from different universities and explore different cultures. Also, our members are from all different academic backgrounds and majors. So that kind of speaks to the benefit of competing in Model UN for all different possible career fields. We're going to kindly ask for your funding for our trip to the University of Pennsylvania's Model UN conference, which is November 7th and 10th.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Weber?
How many members will be attending this?
We have 12 people.
Senator Fang?
Everybody contributing to the pocket and have yourself on much.
So our conference team members are expected to pay $25 in dues. That does not include the amount of money they'll spend on food, travel, and if not all our costs are covered, those would likely be coming from our members.
VP Oakfield?
Do you guys expect another fund for an international conference?
No, we plan on going to the Harvard Gold Mine in March, but we don't plan on asking for funding at this point. We are working to build more substantial funding in like institutions basically that will probably fund that, but they just take time.
Any other questions for the speakers? Representative Demerchant?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, just a clarifying question of like just the breakdown of the costs. Like for example, like how much are for registration for this conference?
Yeah, so for the conference, there's a delegation fee of 110, and then each delegate is 110 as well. So that's $1,320 just for registration fees, and then to register, you also need to we need to book through the hotel that the conference has delegated, and that is that would be $2,293.65. So in total, that's $3,723.65 for the registration. That's how much we requested for funding, but that also doesn't include our travel costs, so.
Any other questions for the speaker? Senator Sparks?
Just for food and like transportation when you get there, how much do you think each person is going to have to pay out of pocket?
For food, that's a little hard because that depends. We're in Philadelphia, which can be very expensive, and the fact that we're staying in a hotel, it's likely that we'll eat out every single meal. So yeah, that could be well over $100. For travel, we were looking at flying, but doesn't really seem very feasible at this point. So driving would be probably 2 to 3 cars, 9 hours of driving, a lot.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
4-1 to opt to pass as amended.
Do I hear a motion to accept the committee's recommendation? Senator Martin?
I motion to accept the committee's recommendation. Second.
That is the pleasure of the Senate. That is adopted. We are now in a period for discussion. Period for debate. Senator Fang?
Okay, that's great, thank you for discussion. The committee recommendation 412.
Yes.
Sorry, this may be stupid, I'm just wondering how that adds up to 7.
The 4 + 1 + 2.
Sure, sorry.
That adds to 7, so you add the 1.
Oh, I was under the impression there are 4 voting senators in EPC.
No, there's 4 voting senators as well as 3 execs.
Okay, sorry about that.
Transparency, that is myself, President Tripp, and DPSO.
And that asked Senate, got it.
Yes. Representative Commercial.
Yes, so I want to actually get the, like, if it is possible to get the opinions of the dissenters and what. Wait, I'm so sorry, for 1, 2 is the dissenters.
2 is abstaining, so there was 1.
Abstaining, my apologies. So, the 1, I want to see if I could get that, like, their opinion on why they voted that way.
I'm the dissenter. That's me. Attention. Oh my God. Okay. I dissented because I felt like obviously we're in such a hard financial position right now, so we do have to cut these really large funding requests because it's just not sustainable for our organization. But I feel like the way that we cut it was a little bit random, like we didn't use a very good formula and procedure to cut it. And I also think we cut it a lot relative to how expensive the trip was. Like it's a really expensive activity and I understand that, but it's also, I just think that we cut it too much in EBC and I would have liked to see it cut a little bit less. Yeah.
Senator Ricker.
Question, is that speakable?
Yes.
Okay, as it currently stands, the funding request is $1,120. How much would each individual person who is going on the trip likely pay out of pocket in order to continue attending so they can be there without missing out?
I don't have the exact numbers, but with like the funding that we have secured and like possible funding, we're still looking at like $100 per person. But sorry, that does not also include food or gas money. That's just registration.
Any other points for debate? President Tripp?
I just have a point of information. Can everybody who's going on this trip in the room, please raise their hand?
Yeah, that was something that I meant to mention.
Thank
If
you.
this motion affects you in any way outside of student government, you are encouraged. You can discuss and debate, but you are encouraged to abstain from any votes. VP Oldfield?
This is a question actually. Does BPFA have the exact request amount, original request amount?
The original, well. All of it totaled was, for the delegation fees and hotel was $3,808.20. Originally there was a plane on there which totaled it to $5,879.65, but that was taken off before UBC.
Any other points for debate? Representative Merchant?
Yeah, so I am of course one of those delegates and I get that we're in this budget crunch, so like some hard decisions have to be made. But I think at least for like in this particular way, I think we should amend the budget just to be a little bit higher. My exact number, I can't exactly say, I put that out to everyone. But I think we should increase the amount at least to cover the registration costs.
Any other points for debate, Representative Guzman?
Yeah, so here's what I'm gonna say. The delegates going on the trip, I hear your sentiments. But I think I'm gonna turn this back to Senator Waters. If we're looking for an amendment, Senator Waters, since you're the one who kind of did the dissenter. What amount do you think is feasible, since you disagree with the amount allocated by EBC?
So glad you asked. I was gonna make a motion to amend the allocated funds to $1,900, which is half of the $3,800 that was originally told for registration and hotel costs. So I'm making a motion to amend the $1,120 to be $1,900.
Do I hear a second? Hearing a second, if that is the pleasure of the Senate, that amendment is adopted. Any discussion on the amendment? Senator Bowman.
This is a point of information directed at the first statement by Senator Waters of how there was a lack of kind of method in the first amount. The first amount was kind of determined based off of what we gave to Peso for their big conference event. We gave them, we kind of based this amount off how much we gave them per person because this is Model UN's big conference event, they're asking us for funding for and trying to keep it par. Why would we fund Model UN more than we fund Peso? Does that mean that we're favoring them more? And so I'm going to propose the $1,120. I just want to try and keep it even, showing that we're not favoring one organization more than any other.
Any other points for discussion? DPS, Rocky.
Sorry, debates.
Nope, not yet. Senator Waters.
Discussion, Peso is located in Rockport, Maine, and this trip is to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which are two different places that have two different travel costs.
Any other facts or data that are used to prove a point? I'm gonna gamble down and point out discussion from now. President Tripp.
The place that the Peso went in Maine was also a resort, so it was also very expensive compared to other places. So keep that in mind too.
Any reports?
If we're going to get down to the keeping it even, then I think that we should go by a percentage of the total.
And that's it. Any other points for discussion? Representative Demerchant.
This is also disappointing information. Registration for this event is very soon. It's very close, so.
Any other points for discussion? Any points for debate? Senator Sparks? Did you still have a point for debate?
Well, I don't think anybody has those exact numbers, but going by percentage rather than total cost.
DPS Rocky?
Yeah, I always appreciate Senator Bo's pragmatism and keeping an eye on the bottom line, especially in a year like this. Take what I say, with a grain of salt, because I would be going on the trip, but also I don't really care how much I have to pay, so do it. But I just wanted to say, I don't think that like funding clubs equally, like, oh, we funded this club this much, this club this much, it's a good benchmark, but I don't think it should be what we go off of. Just by the nature of different clubs in the school, there are gonna be different activities that we fund differently, and that's okay. So, yeah.
Any other points for debate? Senator Bowman.
As everybody probably knows, I'm against this amendment. I feel like we should keep it as it is right now, as opposed to almost doubling it. We cannot fund every club that comes in asking for big ticket items like this event that comes in. We have to make a choice somewhere, so we might as well make the choice and cut a line early in the semester so that clubs don't come in later in the semester and ask us why we gave them less funding for their event than we gave Model UN to their event. So we need to set the line somewhere, so I say let's set the line early, let's not pass this amendment, let's try and keep it even amongst all the students. Because even though setting the comparison between all the clubs may be hard, it also keeps students feeling like we view them equally. And they're our constituency, they're who we're supposed to represent, so why do we represent one more than the other?
Any other points for debate? Senator Waters.
Last year, around this time, I was at an alumni dinner with people that graduated in 1960s, and they talked to me so fondly about how they went on a Model UN trip at UMaine in the 1960s. This club has been around, this club has helped people, she then went on to work in international affairs. This club has help people for a very long time get real world experience in international affairs. And I think $1,900 is already low relative to what they asked for. It would help provide for students that usually don't have the opportunities that students who can pay for out of pocket, they now get access to the opportunities. Yeah.
Any other points for debate? President Tripp.
Sorry, can you just remind me of how many people are going on this trip?
12. It's the
12.
largest delegation you've ever brought.
12, okay.
Senator Waters.
And it's the largest delegation they've ever brought.
Any other points for debate? Rocky?
I will also say, for a lot of people, it is really hard to get a job in political science and international affairs. I know my poli-sci people in the room know this to be true. We don't have the same advantages that bigger schools who can just send as many delegates as they want to any conference they want have. So this is actually, like Senator Waters said, really valuable experience for a lot of kids who would go on this. Maybe not me, but a lot of kids.
Any other point for debate? Representative Demerchant?
Yeah, so for the first points, this is, excuse me, so I'm sorry. For funding this event, because I know Grace personally, and we have had these discussions, she had expressed uncertainty in relation to this because at least in terms of the funding, because from last year, there was a bit of
feeling that had been happening, and that's why she is coming to this now, not as someone who is simply just treating this as like as a willy-nilly type of thing. She has thought this out through, she's planned this out accordingly. And we, this group is not planning to be asking for funding for next year's big conference. So I think that's something we should all bear in mind, because again, we have enough time for this next conference. For this coming up right now, it's a crunch.
Any new points for debate? Senator Markon.
Motion to previous.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, that is adopted. Well, you don't have to discuss or debate that. This is a.
That's just all those in favor?
Yeah.
Those and everyone votes.
That's why I'm just looking at my Robert. All those in favor of. All those opposed. All those abstain. Seeing a clear majority, that passes. We are now going to vote on this amendment to adjust the funds to 1,900, is that correct? Yeah. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? All those abstaining? I'm gonna actually count. All those, what's the word in favor? In favor.
Of raising the amount, right?
Yes. 1, 2, 3. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a non-majority, that amendment fails.
Oh, shucks.
We are now back in discussion and debate for the resolution on hand, President Trevor.
So coming into this tonight, knowing that this was the amount that was at least gonna go forward to the Senate. And knowing that you guys, I'm assuming intended to advocate for yourselves, which great, love to see it, glad you're here. What is the situation? This passes as is. Are you going on this trip?
It's a little hard to say. I mean, I personally, like, if we didn't get the funding and there was, there's only like $1,000 left, I would just pay it out of pocket personally. I really want my team to go on this trip. And I think we do have a lot of very passionate people that would do whatever they can. That is to say, I think a lot of people we would have to size down our delegation to make that feasible. I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to pay that much out of pocket. So to answer your question, yes, we would go on a trip, but it would not be as big of an event as we would like.
And to you, and I'm not giving you any promises, but to you, what is a reasonable price per person for them to pay, right? Because obviously food, those are expenses that are not considered in the student government, because those are things that we don't even, cover. So in terms of kind of like the base, like non-personal like payments or whatever, how much are people paying? And what is a reasonable price?
With just registration and hotel?
Yeah.
I mean, given all the other costs that go along with it, I feel like it should be zero. I can't speak for every single person on my team, but I know there are people that are struggling as is to go on the conference trip as it is. So.
Thank you for sharing.
Any other points for debate? VP Oldfield?
This is a question for the speaker, actually. I'm not sure if the so hold on. Why people send for fundraising for the event? Yeah, first.
Yeah, so we've done like one big sale. We have one this week as well, but obviously we're talking $1,000 base sales. We looked at planning like a merchandise sale, like selling sweatshirts. We have a GoFundMe, which was very successful last year, but as of right now, we have $0 in the GoFundMe. So for this conference, it would not be super helpful. We reached out to departments, we've confirmed from the history department and the INA department, each giving about $200 each. We've heard from 2 others that are asking us to go through their own funding requests that likely wouldn't be. We might be successful enough, but it might not be timely enough for this conference. We're still hearing back from a couple others. We've also started to build a relationship with the Maine Foundation to kind of direct our big fundraising efforts through them, through reaching out to alumni and sponsors and grants. But we also have, you know, other big plans. Roadline will likely cost up to $20,000. And that will be mostly, that'll be through our own fundraising, so our efforts are kind of towards that right now. And with a lot of the plans that we have, they are just not going to be timely enough for.
Okay, any other points for debate, Senator Sparks?
Just really quickly, as it stands, it does not look like you're gonna be, well, not, but for fundraising, what areas are you lacking in that the student government can kind of fill in the gaps and help really push forward that? Fundraising?
I'd say one thing we are trying to look for is a network of alumni that we can call upon for donations. And also just knowing like certain, you know, foundations that we can reach out to, because last year we kind of, you know, we kind of just, you know, put all our eggs in all the baskets. And, you know, some were successful, some were not.
Point of order, we're gonna throw stuff out and walk behind the speakers, please. Go ahead.
So yeah, knowing which kind of sponsors would be,
Go ahead.
which kind of sponsors would be responsive and who would actually put money would be very helpful. But I'm also not sure what you guys do, your capabilities are.
Senator Martone.
I propose an amendment to the current resolution to make the amount $1,899.
Second.
Mary, second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the amendment? Senator Weber.
So there's a good amount of new senators, and I was wondering for people who've been here for a while, is there a difference between funding amounts that get requested in the fall compared to the spring where people have and committees have more time for funding requests? Because if this is something that we do allow, would it be possible for like something like this or other funding, people, if we get the message out there that, hey, we are low, please do your fundraising, we can allow stuff like this now and be maybe harder on it in those future times. So I was wondering if anyone who has more experience or like has been here for a while.
President Tripp.
I can give you a perspective on this. So we're looking at an unallocated that is lower historically, and I know that that's where we're at here. But we're also looking at essentially, this is how Hamilton, there's this much money, okay, and there's this much need. And our job is to make this stretch to here as much as possible. That's always been our job. In the past, unfortunately, we've had precedent of being able to shovel a lot of money towards few clubs. A lot of that has to do with the fact that not a lot of people knew the funding process. They do now, right? There are more clubs. There are more students. Heck. So in my opinion, sure, if we could spend 70 grand tonight, and then have nothing for the rest of the year. But that's not our role. I don't think that's our role. Our role should be to keep it coming as we can and keep cutting as we go. Just so that we longevity, because it doesn't mean, again, they can always come back for more funding later, but you know, we look and scrutinize with a harder eye, we always have. So in theory, no, but I would highly, highly recommend against that. Because like we said, of course, we're not being able to, you know, we're in a situation where we may not be able to help them as much as they need to be helped. But we're still giving them thousands of dollars for free. For 2 meetings, right? This is a very easy process for a very, a lot of money, okay? And again, it's hard, and this has been hard, but just keep that in mind, that this is not a very hard process, okay? And this money is theirs as much as it is everybody else's.
Any other points for debate on the amendment? Senator Bell.
Just to put this into frame for people, I know we have a lot of new senators. The current funding that we are giving out is not funding that is from these current students who pay the activity fee. We have given out all of the funding from the current student activity fee allotment. We're currently working in the backlog that we had saved up. So funding that we give out now is funding that we have not used in previous years. And so we are giving more than what the students here are giving. We're giving money from the past students here. So keep that in mind when you're going about this. This is not really the money of our constituents that we're giving out. This is money that just happened to be saved from previous constituencies.
Any other points for debate? President Burke?
I'm totally gonna push back on that. That is the consistency. You're right. Technically, this is rollover money. You're 100% right, but we've also used that rollover from years and years and years. It evens out at the end. So we should be treating it as a current activity fee always. That's how it works because yes, last year's rolled over from the year before, but so did the year before and the year before, and it shakes out in the wash. I don't think we should ever be treating any of the money that we have as, oh, it expired, so it's ours and we can do whatever we want with it. It should always be tied to the activity fee, period.
Any other points for debate on the amendment at hand? Representative.
Yeah, so I think there is a strong sentiment in wanting to treat everybody fair, wanting to treat every one of these organizations as fairly as possible. And definitely being a stickler and cutting funding requests when they come to us, because at the end of the day, we are trying to preserve what we have. But at the same time, there are categorizations to these events. So there are different types of events, whether that's related to community engagement, professional development. And our job, I think, as UMSG, for the student activity fee, for the development of our student body of creating professionals, is to see the logistical side of it. Because at the end of the day, they can't control where they're going for a hotel. There are things in this budget request that they can't control. Unfortunately, sure, you look at things like, oh, they can choose a different hotel or they can go to a hostel. So, you know, lowering those amounts, but because of the logistics behind this funding request, they can't. But also to turn to that point, it's not favoring another organization over another. It's seeing kind of like the value proposition behind everything and seeing that this is an event for professional development and can evidently lead to the development of a future career for these individuals. So I think it's analyzing it in its entirety and seeing kind of like what this event plays in the greater scheme of things, then comparing it to one organization to another. So I think, yeah, it's completely fair to make cuts on like hotels and things like that. But I think for registration and like this delegation fee, those are barriers to entry for these events. And like I said, there's a difference between that and hotel costs and flight costs and anonymity costs. So I'm 100% for amending this back to the amount that Senator Waters proposed.
Are there any other debate on the motion to amend this? Any other debate as a whole? I'm gonna get that. Senator Moon.
If this is an event which we need to give more money and we find ourselves bankrupting ourselves as an organization, then maybe it is an event that costs too much for us to send our students to. We cannot send every group to their high ticket events. If this event costs this much, and we have to do this every year, and we find ourselves in this position every year, which we haven't, but if we don't change something, we will, then we cannot fund it every year. And so we cannot fund this event currently. As amended, the amount that we amended to barely passed through the EBC, because that was like the limit as to where we could all somewhat agree on to pass it. And so I'm against amending this back up. We cannot pay for these high ticket events. We are the University of Maine. We're not UVM, we're not UMass Amherst. We are University of Maine. And so we can fund events that take place in Maine fairly consistently. The Rockport event, it was a bit high class, but it got people in the Maine community. If we fund events that are going to all over the place, then that's like, it's beyond the limit of what we can do with our current funding amount. We can't fund high ticket events currently. We just can't do it.
Any other new points for debate on the motion at hand? President Tripp.
Something else that I just want to discuss, and again, I'm not trying to, you know, insinuate anything, but from what I'm looking at here, you guys are part of SHAC, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's our third highest rep board in terms of a budget that we've given. Have you talked to the SHAC board about allocating any of that money that you have an equal say on, being an official member of SHAC? Have you guys had that conversation with them? And if not, how is that breaking down in terms of supporting those groups within, especially for events like this, which is I think why we would, you know, give those reserve funds to rep boards.
Do you want to comment on this?
No, I'm asking them first and then I'm assuming we have our Shack president in the room.
Yeah, so I can answer that question. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Chelsea Johansson. I'm the vice president of Monument. So for this semester, we have not, had that conversation with Shack about, requesting money specifically allocated from Shack to our organization. We've been in contact with them and other representatives of other individual groups, surrounding like the fundraising events, like with, maybe succulents and, those types of events that are in the works currently. But as far as requesting a specific funding amount directly from Shack, we have not had that conversation. We've gone through other routes, such as like grants, which take time, obviously being in a time crunch, but then going through departments, and things else. If I could add, like, we are aware that we have like certain, budgets from Shack, but we try to use that for Shack, based events. Like last year, we did a Taste of Taiwan to kind of showcase, what we learned when at our conference in Taiwan, the cultural, things that we brought back, like food and such. So we're aware that like Shack is a very unique organization and we're very lucky to be part of it. And so we want to use that money to forward Shack.
Any other new points for debate? Senator Thompson.
I motion previous.
Second.
Hearing a second, if moving to previous, all those in favor of moving to previous? All those not in favor? All those abstaining? There were a lot of hands that I didn't see go up. We're gonna do this one more time. All those in favor of ending debate on the amendment? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. All those in favor of amending the resolution to read $1,899? All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear non-majority, that fails. So there is now, we're still, what's on the table, the $1,120. Any discussion or debate? Senator Waters.
I hope that our UMaine students, when they lose their opportunity, think, good, Student Gov didn't allow us to take the opportunity this year, but they allowed students to take it last year. I'm glad my student activity fee is just as much at work as the students was last year. I know we have a different budget and that does suck. But man, does it also suck that this club is probably gonna lose the opportunity to do something that's really beneficial to its members. And even if we can't change anything and we're not gonna change anything tonight, we all need to sit with the fact that that sucks and that that's terrible.
Any other points for debate? Senator Sparks.
Well, I would classify that argument as emotional manipulation, and I think in budgeting conversations, that
Any points for debate?
I love being an emotional manipulator.
Any points for debate if I call on Senator Weber?
No one who has said or opposed a decision wants to oppose decisions. We're in a very, very, very tight budget cut, and it is I don't know. Personally, I don't believe it is truly on anyone in this Senate right now. It is due to mistakes and overspending over years. And so to put it on is not fair to anyone on Senate. And it is just duly for Senate, and it should just be a respectable place. No one wants to do anything about budget cuts. No one wants to say no to these people. We just want to have it so everyone does get a chance. That is what we're trying to do. We're not trying to overspend so people later do not get that chance. We're still giving them a chance. There's still money being allocated to those clubs. We're just not able to do it to the best of our ability.
Any other points for debate? VP Roy.
I will say to the point that we don't fund these big ticket items outside of Maine or New England or whatever. We did just 30 minutes ago, this body just funded a $1,600 trip to California. I'm just saying.
Any other points for debate on the motion at hand? Senator Buzzell.
I move to amend the motion to $1,500.
second.
Hearing a second, if that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion? Senator Weber.
What is the difference? I obviously know there's some difference well, is the change from 1,200 to a 1,500 to an 1,800, like what do you believe would be the biggest in that sort of thing? Like, is there people who you think will not be able to go at 1,200 but will at 1,500? Like, what is the actual difference that would make?
I would just say every dollar that you allocate to us is a dollar that one of our members doesn't have to pay out of pocket. We have a diversity of people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. I don't think that should bar people from going to these conferences and having the benefits of, meeting people from all over the country and all over the world to debate on topics and learn and make those connections.
Any other debate? Senator Bone, on the resolution at.
This is one of two events in which they're going to. The second one is an international event, am I correct? Yes, so this is the smaller of their bigger events. They have from now until they plan to go to the event in the spring semester to fundraise and send their members to an even bigger opportunity than this. So if we send the members that we can to this event currently, the smaller one, then maybe if they try and keep it equal, the members who weren't able to go to this event can benefit from the fundraising that they do for the next event, the ones who are less financially able to. This is one of their two events that they're going to, and they're sending people international to debate with people all the way from around the world.
Any new points for debate on the motion to amend to 1,500? VE Roy.
I will say that the event in the spring is even less guaranteed than this event. There's no guarantee that Model U will be sending people to Manila, as it is substantively more expensive. So just keep that in mind.
President Torres.
How long did you know about this event? And I'm talking into last year. Did you know about it last year, that this was gonna happen in the spring or this fall?
Okay, for UPenn, we learned about it before the semester started.
I'm sorry, can I rephrase my question?
Yes.
Did you know that you're going to go to an event circa around this price in the fall, last year?
In the fall last year?
No, like
Okay,
last
sorry,
year,
sorry. Last year.
in this fall.
It was always our goal to do at least one fall semester, fall conference. Just to get that practice, and because it's cheaper, we can bring more people. I would say so it was our goal to go to one. We weren't sure which one we were going to, because we were also looking at going to North Carolina again, which was more expensive, and so this is the cheaper of our options. Since it's closer, and the dates just worked, and there were a lot of conferences happening in October that were cheaper and we could have gone to, but we just did not have the funding in time. A lot of it came from like the registration dates. We are now into late registration, so it's about having the money on hand to pay the registration next year.
So you knew last spring that you would need money on hand this fall to go to something like this?
Yes.
So what fundraising and efforts were taken last spring?
Last spring, so our World Wine Conference was in March, and then we had a couple fundraising events, and then we did a very small conference in Massachusetts with that extra funding for the people that weren't able to go to the World Wine Conference. And so I think last year we ended like no less than $1,000 in our bank account. And that was our last conference was the weekend before finals.
The last conference, it was the third conference that you kind of decided.
The year,
It was like an extra one, right?
That was an extra one, yeah. It was free registration. We just paid for like an Airbnb and gas.
And how much was that?
It was $40 for registration, but it was not, that's like the cheapest, for registration that you will see. Like it's typically $100 to $110, $120, $40 is
World Wine is like $200 each. But yeah, sorry, to answer your question, yeah, we didn't have any time after that conference to do fundraising.
Okay. Any other points for discussion or debate? Senator Michaud?
First time around, I voted for to increase it. The second time around, I didn't because it was practically the same motion. I already turned it down. I think this is a good compromise. It saves us $400, and also echoing BPSO Rocky, we did just spend $1,600 for another place, so it kind of would make it more fair. And it's also a similar event because they're both like networking and stuff.
Any other points for debate, Senator Bowman?
The event that was that we just funded $1,600 for is their only event. That is AT's big event for the entire year. That's the one that they want to send their people to, and they work off the entire year off what they learned at that event. This is maybe one. This is also, they just said it, a more expensive event than events that they could go to that their members could still benefit and that their members could all go to. Likely for the same price in which they'd have to pay to go to this without funding from us, the closer events. And so this is like, I mentioned this in UBC about luxury events. This is a luxury event. This is something better than what they could do to still benefit the members of their club. If we increase it, we're kind of encouraging luxury spending and luxury amounts, which again, we don't have the funding for this year. Maybe in the future year, and we have in past years, but we don't have it this year. They can come again. These members have 4 years to participate. If they haven't participated in the past, then they should have participated when they had the chance, especially at the smaller one, and they can try next year or the year after that when we have maybe fixed our budget situation that we're in currently.
Are there any other new points for debate on the motion to amend at hand? Senator Ricker?
I just want to point out on this conference that UMSG Maine goes to, they compete with a bunch of different schools. A lot of which is better funded and bigger, with more comparables. And UMSG Maine actively gets awards at these events, despite competing against schools that have better funded and larger. More companies in Molly UN. So just putting it out that UMSG Maine actually goes to these conferences and does incredibly well.
Representative Merchant?
Yeah, so I think like just to point out just one thing, that again, there's this emphasis on time. And I want to at least remark on the words of Senator Bohm. I understand that this is a very hot topic issue and we can talk about it for hours and hours till we're blue in the face. Like I get that, I very much do. But I think there should be some just awareness for how people want to partake in this event, or at least want to like participate in events like this. Because I myself, however this is gonna pass, I still want to do my due diligence and get as much fundraising as possible to, you know, have money brought into this club.
May I ask what your debate is?
Yes, no, I was getting to my excuse me. So I think, you know, just within that regard, $1,500 is a good compromise. We want to amend it down like $100 lesser, just to like access a little bit more money that's like more comfortable, have the discussion. But again, there is just an emphasis of time and just resources that can be put into it. Because a lot of people want to be part of this, no matter how much, no matter what way they are going to be doing this through.
Any other new points for debate on the amendment at hand? Senator Weber?
I believe that just keep lowering it to the point where like it doesn't have much, is kind of what EBC has already done. That's what the 1,200 is that debate and that middle ground is what they have come to and agreed upon, clearly in the 412 vote. So I think just going lower and lower doesn't really accomplish anything, and just keeping what we have is kind of what we already had agreed upon.
Which is why there's a motion to move the item back to the committee if it's clear that the Senate will not come to a consensus. Any other new points for debate on the $1,500 amendment? Senator Bowman?
These people will be getting $1,120 if we don't amend this for an amount of money that they put in that is equal to $816. They're getting more money out of it than they put into it. It's essentially free money for them after this point. So keeping that in mind, do you feel like there are more students who could benefit from that extra money allocated better than these people will to their event that they're going to? Better than you yourself? We have members here who are on this event. Do you think that they could even benefit from it more if we spend the money somewhere else?
Any other new points for debate? VPSM, Rob.
To Senator Weber's point, I think that's fair, but I think also that this body, and this is not even just from credits, but just in general, keep in mind that the Senate, you are the arbiter of what is funded, okay? EBC is not infallible, you do not have to defer to EBC, so you can always disagree with what EBC is doing. So don't necessarily use like, oh, EBC did this, so maybe we should too, just to keep in mind that. Yeah.
Senator Butler?
Hopefully we've made up our minds. I move the previous.
Hearing a second, if it, all those in favor of moving the previous? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. All those in favor of amending the line item to 1,500? All those opposed? All those abstaining, seeing a clear non-majority, that fails. The line item is still, Senator Thompson.
Oh, I have a new motion. Can you?
1 second. We are now back to the main motion of $1,120. Is there any debate, Senator Thompson?
Motion to come this back to EBQ. Second.
Here in a second, if it does, if it's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted, any discussion on sending this back to EBC? Senator Ritter.
Question for the speaker. Is it possible to send it back to EBC and not cut off the time it takes for the registration deadline?
Point of information, we don't have EBC next week, it'll be in 2 weeks, until we have EBC again.
I don't think that's possible, but if EBC is going to be a week, so when is EBC meeting again?
It's because of fall break, Monday and Tuesday are off, so it won't be this coming Monday, but the Monday following, so.
At the chair's discretion, just this gentleman. Yes.
Late registration ends November 1st. The hotel reservations, technically were due last Friday. I emailed them and asked for a request to extend that for our team.
I have another point of information, EBC has decided this, I'll be very clear, there was a very, it was 4 to 1 to 0, overwhelming majority. The disagreement is not in EBC, the disagreement is here, so keep that in mind.
Any other points for debate on the line item $1,120, Senator Micho?
I mean, I think a majority of the Senate has decided they don't want this 3 times, and I'm the one who's wanted it, and I think we just should drop it. But the majority doesn't want it.
Any other points for debate? Senator Ritter?
Just general self-debate, right?
Yes.
That's fine. Okay, just in general, when it comes to motions involving money and student activity fees of any type, I am strongly opposed to the idea that we should just take whatever the number is divided by the student activity fee and then hope it's either around what each student is putting in. I just don't think that's how this process should necessarily work, and then actually why you have an EBC. And I'm abstaining anyway, since I'm on the thing. I'm just putting out that kind of numerical procedural approach to it. I think is not exactly good for Senate platform.
Any other points for debate on sending this back to EBC? President Tripp?
You said 12 people are going on this trip. The student activity fee is roughly $68 a student, and this is, if we pass it as is, 93. So that's not what we're doing here.
Any other points for debate on sending this back to EBC? Seeing none, all those in favor of referring this back to the Executive Budgetary Committee? All those opposed? All those abstaining, seeing a clear non-majority, that fails. Back to the $1,120. Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes.
Wow.
Moving on to 45S POL 118, an act that provides the standing rules of the general student sessions. One session, please.
Shouldn't we do the club right now, point of order?
I'm sorry, they never can.
Oh, okay.
That's the statement, there's not talking to people.
Okay, so, we're going to do a little bit of a discussion, and on fire. We'll make it quick as long as you guys don't have 40 minutes of questions. So this is a period for you to ask us questions and share your opinions about some of your options. We're first gonna do a little breakdown on what the elections actually look like, and then we're gonna give you your options, and then we'll get into the resolution after all your questions and answers. All right, so we can move to the next slide. So, Okay, so this is kind of just general procedure, breakdown nominations, which all of you have done already because you're sitting senators, so you kind of don't have to worry about that part. But part of running successful Senate elections is advertising to allow, the general undergraduates who wanted to know that this is happening, so they have an opportunity, an equal opportunity to run as you guys do. So that's been something I've been including in the newsletter already, but once we make a decision tonight, it'll get much more, just because we'll more concrete dates for everyone. And then campaigning, so that can look like anything a senator would like it to look like, or a nominee. But the limit for senator elections is $25 in total, so that includes any printing or any other, yes, paraphernalia of the campaign. If you are making an Instagram, recommend it. If you're printing posters, I recommend it. There are some rules on where the posters can be. I don't think it says 25 feet to the student gov offices. I don't know what that is, so I'm just saying not in the Wade Center. I'm not pulling out a measuring tape. So the point of having no posters encouraging people to vote for you in the Wade Center is so if people decide to vote in person in the Wade Center, they don't go in and they go, who are these people? And look up and see your face and go, well, I guess I'll vote for them. So they can be anywhere. I mean, you have all seen posters everywhere on this campus. So that's something that I would just exclude in the Wade Center. Yeah, and then obviously she just mentioned that voting will be in the Wade Center, which is why you can't have campaigning advertisement in the Wade Center. And that will be a regular voting day, so it will be from 9 to 5, and it will have an online forum as well as in-person voting. So the day of voting, you're not really supposed to campaign. You can instead encourage people to vote. Try to encourage your peers to vote. We may not have a large turnout of voters in the Senate elections, but please do your best to spread the word and tell your peers to read their emails. Oh, actually, do you have any questions for the
Senator Waters.
We're going over, so originally I thought we were going over 45 SPO 118, but this is 119, so I just wanted to say that just for general. And also it says POL 119 as if it passed through policy and procedure and it didn't. So that would probably have to say FEPC.
Just for clarification, yeah, that must be just an error on my assistant's part. What we're doing, it is accurate of what they're building up to is, just for summation, amending the standing rules, which is where the Senate election timetable is, which is why this is spelled.
Oh, okay.
But you are right about this. Senator Martin?
Can senators campaign together?
Yeah, I don't see why not. If you're running for the same college, that's up to your discretion, but
Thank you.
yeah.
Sorry, yes, Senator Kearns?
There's some specific dates for like. We'll get there. Okay, no, next slide. Yeah, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, yeah, so, this resolution that you're gonna see is about adjusting possibly the, rules and guidelines of how we have to run these elections. If this resolution is not passed, this is the timeline that we will be looking at for the senator elections. I know it's rushed, that is because it spent a long time trying to get on the agenda. And we were trying to figure it out. So this is the sample timeline of what it would look like if this resolution fails tonight. The nomination papers that all of you have filled out would be, the deadline would be the 11th, which is this Friday. So that's why we are coming here with a resolution, because we agree that it may not be fair to your peers.
Campaigning would be 2 weeks. It's technically 2 business weeks, but if you put posters, they're gonna be up over the weekend. You don't have to take them down. If you got an Instagram, you can post over the weekends. But it's 2 weeks of campaigning technically. And then the election day for senator elections would be on the 28th. This is because in the standing rules, it is stated that they have to be completed by the end of October. There's a few extra days built into this timeline to give us some wiggle room in case there is an investigation, a runoff election, and also to give me and Sean time to certify the election and get it to you guys and for you to accept your positions. And so, yeah. Brother, can we move the next one? Wait, this question, well, I figured.
Let's do.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. So this is a very similar timeline to the one you just saw. This is the timeline that I'm hoping to propose if this resolution that I'll talk about in just 1 minute passes. So it's basically pushed back 3 weeks. So what that looks like is nomination papers due on November 1st, which I believe gives us ample time to advertise on our Instagram, in the newsletter, and any other way we see fit to make sure that the rest of the undergraduate body knows that this opportunity is coming, so that anyone interested in running for an elected position has an opportunity to. And then the 2 weeks campaigning will occur from the 4th to the 15th of November. And election day would be the 15th is a Friday, elections would be on the 18th of November, which would be that following Monday. And then with the adjusted resolution, if it were to pass, it would give us almost nearly a month in case there were any investigations or anything for everything to be confirmed, but ideally it would be done within a week. And then it would run into Thanksgiving break even. Now,
Senator Ritter.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, option 2 technically violates the standing rules since it says a thing by the end of October.
That's what the policy that we're currently discussing is changing.
yeah.
Senator Ritter.
So if we can change the standing rules, like I know it's still got full body student vote from the spring, but in terms of the Senate elect, no. I apologize. I didn't think so.
Senator Markham.
It is, what, were you gonna say something?
I have quite a bit of information. The standing rules don't go to the entire student body, correct?
No, they do.
That's just the, yes, so we can amend the standing rules today to allow us to have a different election timeline. Which is what we're looking at doing tonight.
Senator Markham.
This is incredibly unlikely, but what happens if there is a tie for any given seat that a senator is running for?
Runoff election the next day.
Oh, okay.
That's what runoff, I know, it's,
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
it's a tiebreaker, so that's just a tiebreaker, election, yeah.
Senator Burns.
So you guys are saying that the nomination by signatures, we have to do those again, or we are?
Okay, you do not. Everyone in this room has already, everyone sworn in has already attended.
Perchance you were somebody who was planning on running for a Senate seat. Would that become effective, say, like, if you already have a position that is not as a senator currently, would that just go for these nomination papers and then you would be sworn in at the beginning of the next semester with?
Yes, so if you are not a sitting senator, but would like a seat for next semester, you would have to bring in nomination papers by the deadline. And then campaign if your college goes up for elections. If you are able to be a sitting senator this semester, which we can still have, and you get sworn in before the session ends, you would also be automatically nominated for the next election. So if someone comes in with completed papers to sit on Senate next weekend, so we don't have a meeting next week, but the week after, they would also be automatically. But if you're not a current sitting senator by the nomination paper deadline, you have to submit nomination papers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna add is currently there are application papers out there, but now that we've entered game time for elections, nobody else is being sworn in until an election happens, so all senators in this room, as well as anybody filling out application papers, and anybody who turns them in after this day are putting themselves on the ballot for next year. Senator Martin?
If a sitting senator wins their election, will they have to fill out signature papers for the spring if they have been a sitting senator for more than one semester?
If you win your election, you will not need to submit papers until the calendar year term ends, which would be this spring semester, spring 25 and fall 25. If you wanted a seat for spring 26, you would need nominating paper filled out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just for clarification, if you win this semester, you're automatically a senator-elect. And even in the chance that you lose and you're a sitting senator, you still occupy that seat up until this semester ends. And then Senate vacates, and then everybody who won this semester gets sworn in. And then if there are still open Senate seats in the spring, that's when we start rolling in more applications and we go back to kind of the first come, first served model. Senator Reader,
Wait, I'm so confused by this. So like, when I first was doing my Senate papers, getting my signatures last semester, I got elected in or sworn in. So does that mean I have to?
35 people trying to be senators.
What?
This is a new president because we've never had a Senate this full before. So if you're confused about why this hasn't happened in the past, we've never needed to. But we're now at like reaching that capacity.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so like I'll have to go around campaigning to people, getting signatures again? Is that?
No, you're simply telling people when the date comes, vote for me. And it's going to be, I'm not sure how many poli-sci students are in here, it's a ranked choice vote essentially, which means that say for at-large seat, everybody who pays the undergraduate student activity fee will get a ballot. They pick the 10 names that they want. There's only 8 names. That ballot doesn't even go out because they automatically win. Senator Sparks.
So which colleges are currently looking like they're gonna need to run?
At large, yeah, as of right now, at large, CLS and MBS will have close, if not at maximum, for seats or nominations.
Any other questions? Senator Kearns?
What's CLS? Yes.
Liberal arts. Liberal.
Senator Ritter?
What's the procedure for expanding the max cap of Senate seats in the UMSG Maine Senate? How would someone go about anything such a thing?
It is listed in the Constitution that there are 35 seats and how they're allocated. If you want to change it, that happens next spring with a referendum vote to the entire undergraduate student. After it goes through polypro and then Senate, then the student body. Representative Merchant?
Yeah, so I guess it's just a question to people who already covered, so it's more along the lines of the amendment. Are we able to amend the policy to include people who still want to join in, who serve on student government and still campaign, or is that way too confusing?
What
is explanation here? So say someone who is from VLAHS wants to run for student government, they want to join now, and then run campaign, is that possible, or is that like at what?
The whole election sessions, yeah, it is.
That's why we're trying to adjust the timelines, we plan to advertise to other students that would be interested in campaigning and running.
Also, if it was said briefly, but if a college is not full at the time that an election needs to happen, that election will be voided and they'll be sworn in the next session. If say ELHS has, I don't know, 6 senators right now and they have 8 seats in their college, 7 seats in their college.
They're not at capacity, so they don't need to run an election, all 6 of those senators or nominees will end up being senators.
Any other questions from students?
So we can go to the resolution now. I forgot it would be printed for everyone, but I think it's 118, yeah. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You guys do.
So this resolution is what we just talked about. It is an act to revise the standing rules, sorry, I'm gonna hold copy on mine. It's to revise the standing rules of the student senate, which you should all have a copy of. You don't need to look it up. The actual article is right there under the second whereas statement. It is basically just saying that Senate elections, if they are to occur, which they are supposed to occur, they need to be concluded, and certified by the end of October. It's quite a rush when we get into this and we have just sworn in a lot of new senators in the past 3 weeks. And they may not have enough judgment to want to participate in an election yet. And so this resolution would amend it to say that the election can take place on any single regular academic day in fall semester, but not less than 1 week before the end of the current session of the Senate. This is basically just saying that it needs to happen in the fall semester. It cannot happen the week before the finals occur. Obviously this year, we are not looking at having them that late. I wrote it to be like this so that we had that room to see how this year goes, since this is the first year we have done. And so if this passes, it may be amended in the future to be a little more specific, which is fine by me. However, I think it is needed for this semester, because we're looking at having our nominations in by Friday and then, so.
Any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
200 ought to pass.
Second.
If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. We are now in a period for discussion on this motion. Period for debate. Senator Weber.
This is just to give all of us and everyone else more time. It is not we're not changing anything. Senate elections were always going to happen as we are at max capacity. We're just trying to give us and new senators more time. It should pass. Please pass. Yes.
Any other debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. We are now moving into 45S that should say FEPC and act to approve the timeline.
Okay, one more. Yes, so if they're both listeners. Yeah, okay, so, this, you can sit down, it's okay. So this was conditional, and so it wasn't printed, but I do have one copy that you can pass around, but it's also up on the board. It was also in that slideshow, so I'll start it here. This resolution is basically asking you guys to approve of this timeline. I know I presented this timeline to you all 5 minutes ago, but you have to approve of it before we can publish it and send it to the student body. And so again, I am asking that this be resolved that the timeline of the Senate elections for this semester be on November 1st at 1400, which is 2 p.m. The nomination packet deadline is at 2 p.m. so that we have time to make sure you're an eligible candidate, which is just the GPA check. And then November 4th to November 15th is the campaigning. So that is, again, the posters that would be put up around campus, the Instagrams you may go into lecture halls and saying, this is who I am, and encouraging your peers to vote. And then November 18th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. would be voting day. This would be in your email inbox, as well as in-person voting in the Wade Center. And that would be controlled by the members of student government, myself, and certain executives. November 19th would be the day that we would certify the election. This just means that I look at all the results and I see who was voted for the most, basically. So this just means that I look at the Google form or whatever is sent out, and take it to Sean and he notarizes it. And that means that it can be sent out to the general public, and you guys. And then the possibility of a runoff election would happen on this day as well. It is more common in the Senate elections that it would happen. This is again a tie vote. There are a lot of seats being considered. There may not be a large participation from the student body. And so there may be a tie. A runoff election would be very, very similar to voting day. It would most likely occur November 20th because the polling would be the 19th. And then it would be the senators who were in that tie vote. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Fang?
I saw a committee recommendation of 200. What is that?
That's the FEPC committee.
Okay.
Senator Ricker?
Yeah, do you anticipate two different ballots being sent to the same student, depending on the college that they're in and part of, because of at-large plus the potentially business or CLS?
I can answer that. I'm the one coordinating with our advisor, Lori. I've already had like an in-depth conversation about distributing them to if you're a CLAS student, you're gonna get the CLAS ballot as well as an at-large ballot. And then that's how it's gonna be for all the colleges. So you will get two ballots, but each one you'll only be able to vote once and stuff like that. We just need to iron it out before. VP Oldfield?
Point of order, just for clarity's sake, the FEPC committee is currently myself and Senator Weber.
Any other questions for the speaker? President Tripp?
When does FEPC meet?
9:15 to 10:15 on Tuesdays.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
200.
Second.
Do I hear a motion to?
Motion to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second.
If that's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the resolution? Any debate on the resolution? President Tripp?
Obviously, this is again, it's no secret, I'm gonna say it again, but I've said it a million times, this is an unprecedented thing. I really appreciate everybody kind of bearing with us. I think kicking it a little bit further down the line, makes the most sense, especially because the election is for the following semester, so it's weird to do it kind of in the middle of the previous semester. This is kind of roughly how we would kind of think through when the inauguration would be for executives. This is when the elections take place. That makes sense. I know that fell on deaf ears for a lot of people in here because a lot of you are freshmen, but I just wanted to say like really good work on this for our Fair Election Practices Commission, who is notably not a poli-sci student and has done a lot of kind of digging through some tough guidelines. So I think everyone should really appreciate her and the hodgepodge FEPC committee.
Senator Rick?
Point of information, if at the end of the nomination period, there are 9 nominations who expect to go into the election for 8 seats, for example, and one person drops out and so there's 8 for 8 seats, would the election not occur then, even though after nominations have been change the number?
At the discretion of the FEPC, yes. Any other debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Moving on, we are now moving into a period of nominations, starting with the representative to the Senator Fang.
When are we gonna get to the American market?
Dana,
My bad, sorry.
So we're not. Senator Ricker.
I move to suspend the rules to add the election of representative to the student senate and election of the student mental health committee under new business.
Here, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on the motion to add elections to these two positions? Any debate? Senator.
I think we should do it today and not wait 2 weeks between nominations and election itself.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of suspending the rules? All those opposed? All those abstaining? A clear majority, that passes. We are now in our period for nominations for the representative to the Graduate Student Senate. Senator Ricker.
I'd nominate Representative Timotion.
Second.
I gladly accept. VP Oldfield.
I'd like to nominate Senator Kearns.
Second.
I did clap.
Whoever wins this position is going to OBC on next Wednesday and you're paying for it because we couldn't get any money for it, so just.
Wait, where is it?
OBC.
Any other nominations? Senator Ricker.
One of the position was obviously.
Or no, maybe. My PG European brand and handle it.
Nominate Senator Kearns.
Second.
I accept.
Okay, any other nominations? Senator Fang. Nominate Senator Weber.
Second. I respectfully decline.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, would we like,
Point of information, raise your hand if you're currently not fulfilling your Senate requirement and be honest.
because I know who you are.
Okay. Good to know.
I'm good.
President Tripp.
I move to nominate Senator Sparks.
Second.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Senator Fang. Nominate Senator Ricker.
Second.
I disrespectfully decline.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, how about VP?
I'd like to nominate Senator McLean.
Second.
I respectfully decline.
Any other nominations? How about while ballots are being figured out and distributed, we do 1-minute platforms for each? If that's the pleasure of the Senate? We'll do 1-minute platform speeches when I get my phone out and set the 1-minute timer.
I can be the one that.
Great. Starting with Representative Demergent.
Stand so everyone can see.
Representative Demergent has some quicker, we get through this.
So, hi, you already see me, my face, so I'll just be very short with it. While I was in limbo with this representative situation, I still kept on my role. It has been my intent to make sure that there is continuation with this. I've been conducting like discussions and meetings with the GSG, to do that. I've been reliable and dependable with this whole thing, and I'm wanting to make sure that everyone is up to date on this. I actually have another report that we're gonna be doing later on. That'll be quick, I promise. So yeah, I like this position. I would like to keep with this position. And I have nothing further to say, so thank you so much.
Senator Kearns.
Hi, so I'm a freshman, if you don't know me, but I do have some background in like representing student government. I could promise that I would be really good at socializing with people and getting other people's opinions. And I'd also be able to like represent people and.
Great point of information. When does GSG, like, what are the, yeah.
I'm so sorry, let me just stand up too. So GSG bi-weeklies on Friday at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. They don't run over, and that's just like general GSG meetings.
Then there's executive meetings, which are also bi-weekly Fridays at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and you are able to attend. I also had a liaison connection with Harrison Goldfield, who it represents GSG junior updates and grad union. He has agreed to meetings from either Monday or Friday, 10 to 3 p.m. block. So basically with this representative position, you just sit in, you are able to ask questions, you are able to just take some notes, and for what I was doing for this report, just giving a general outline of what was being conducted, what was being said, activity essentially, and an hour long does seem like a lot, but there's a good amount of material detail that goes into this, so yeah, and I've always made sure to get this in. Great. All senators who have voted, if your ballots up in the air, make sure they get collected.
Just here.
Oh, no, great.
No, like fall out.
That's why I know.
Has everybody's ballots been collected?
So it's.
Ballots anywhere? Great. While those are being counted, we will move into a period of nominations for the Student Mental Health Committee. Senator Thompson.
I nominate Representative Levesque.
Second.
I accept.
Any other nominations? Senator Weber?
I nominate Senator Sparks.
I accept.
Is there a second for that? Great. Senator Kearns?
I nominate Senator Cowan.
Second. I accept. Senator Martin?
I nominate Senator Kearns.
Second.
I accept.
Any other nominations? I'm not gonna let you nominate people. You're managing the machine. Senator Willett?
I nominate myself. I accept.
Any other nominations? BP Oldfield?
I nominate Senator Weber.
Second.
I respectfully.
No. Great. Currently nominated, we have Representative Levesque, Senator Kearns, Senator Cowan, Senator, who am I missing? Bridging. Sparks.
Levesque, Cowan, and let's see.
If you need help with the spelling, it's a little weird.
Right, currently on the list for nominations, we have Sparks, Willett, Cowan, Levesque, and Kearns. Is that? I'll take it as a yes. How is the ballot count?
I'm allowed to take my time.
Start
The speeches.
We'll start at the top of the list, with 1 minute platform speeches with Senator Sparks.
I'm super into the mental health committee. I'm all about mental health. I have a lot of experience with it, with being on the tail end of it, and also a lot of my family members have issues, which is lovely. So I know what people need in general, not for specific people, but in generally, I do know what people need. And I would love to see it through, because I think this is very that should be a thing.
Thank you. Next is Senator Bullock. 1 minute.
Okay, so I'm not necessarily doing this just because I'm all holding a position, but it's because I myself can relate to what other people are feeling. I myself has been through so many episodes and I can relate to what other people are feeling. I was the person who was everyone's friend. I was there for them. I skipped school one day in January to go to someone's house to spend time with them because they were down crying in the dumps. And I had to be there to make them feel better and abandon my church attendance. So no matter what, I was always there for people. I invited one of my friends to New York to my room, brewed her a coffee, and then she I'll know her feelings. I myself always, I didn't feel like I excel with this and just generally be well-read.
Next is Senator Cowan. 1 minute.
Hi, everybody. If you didn't know, I'm a psychology student here at the University of Maine. This is what I've dedicated the last 3 years of my life to, and this is what I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to. Mental health is one of my biggest passions. I have seen the ups and downs in my life, in my friends' life, and those that I've loved life. I have seen the effect that this campus can have, the isolation that this state can have. Well, I'm from this state, and it is one of my biggest passions in life to reform the way that we look at mental health in this state. I have connections to offices on campus surrounding mental health. I know people in those offices that work there, be it the heads of the department or just people there. I can make those connections, I can make that community, but it is not the role of the student in this position, no matter who ends up in this position, to be there comforting and sitting with every crying student. We are there to build up students and create a community where we can all support each other, and this should not just be on the one person there. I just felt the need to say that. Thank you for your time.
Next is Representative Levesque, 1 minute.
So I had a whole big speech originally prepared when I thought of this, but I was the person who was sponsoring the return of this chairship. I have been an RA for 2 years. I want to support RAs in this position. I want to support students in this position. I have been in the position of somebody who has held students, helped students. I have also always been involved in mental health education and struggles. I worked on it in my high school, and I have continued to do so while I was here as a freshman RA and an upperclassman RA. There's a reason that college students are ranked the highest in proponent to mental health issues. And as somebody who has been on the ground dealing with those issues in this community, I feel like I have a lot of resources now that have been able to help and will continue to be able to help. I plan on having meetings with Elizabeth Toner, who's the assistant director, Andrea Gifford, Lori Sedelko, anybody that you can think of who is higher up in this university. I already have plans to talk to. I would love to talk to them more. And I really think that I'm fit for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Senator Kearns, 1 minute.
Hi, I don't have as many connections, but I did run a mental health club and research projects in high school, and I'd be willing to kind of share that information, everything I've learned from it on that position. So thank you.
Great. Before we move into a period of voting on those senators, the graduate student Senate representative will be Dylan Nimmer. Now, if you were a senator, put your hand up in the air and if you have a ballot, then fill it out. Your options are Parks, Vallette, Fallon, Levesque, and Hugo.
That's the day.
I needed to leave for
Any more ballots that have not been collected? Seeing none, while those are being counted, there's no main motion, no executive sessions. We will move into special orders and announcements. Any member of UMSG Inc. may address the General Student Senate for not more than 5 minutes, President.
Sorry, no.
All right.
I'm on homecoming court this year. Voting opens Friday. You guys should vote for me for homecoming court if you think I would look good in 2 sashes instead of 1.
I'm on homecoming court this year. That too.
Yeah, really quickly, I just want to say, I was really pleased with the discussion today. I think that level of constructive debate is very perspective, it's super important. I mean, really, it's incumbent upon you all as senators to make sure that our funding activities aren't just a rubber stamp process, and that there's an appropriate level of scrutiny exercised on them. And I think you guys did a great job of that today. I think you should be doing a great job of that this year, so keep it up, guys.
Senator Marcon.
Real quick, I won trivia for the. Well, I forget which Greek organization, but some of the answers were the same as when CSI did their trivia. So everybody who runs trivia, make sure you get different answers.
Any other special orders and announcements, Senator Sparks?
Just a reminder from last week of my report, I am still looking for people to join the general education stewardship meetings and the academic affairs meetings. So if you want to join them, please let me know. They're super low key. I will also be going, so it won't just be you. Thank you.
Any other special orders and announcements? Representative Dimmer.
All right, so everyone, I know you're stirring and it will be very quick. I have reports, so if you want to do like a 3-minute timer, let's have it.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. I'm going 3 minutes anyways. All right, so. The grad student government held their executive meeting last Friday and they're continuing just with old and new business and it's with bullet points. They're putting on hold plan, they're putting plans on hold for grand workshop as these like friendly cost major scholarships is out on vacation. So you'll be hearing about that if you apply for a grant and things. Anyway, that whole thing. They are working on handbooks for officers and their roles, like describing what they're doing and just anything else related to this role. Getting accessibility training and starting to work with the GSD website because they just had some issues with just accessing it and being able to change it, so we see updates monthly. They're reviewing club plans by executive members and decisions next meeting, and sessions to be done for individuals like this coming. OIP, also international programs, has contacted GSG for support for rental poster boards and culture fest. They are talking with Walmart and Costco to get funds or gift cards for professional development. Looking to apply with the HAM Campus Fund. More details on that if you want more information. The grad union now has a op-ed with the Portland Press Herald, so I suggest all of you to look into that. I will try to get the link in. They're also trying to get more discussions in relation to the comfort bus ticket discounts. But we should probably more on that as well. And they also did a reporting for basically Dina, as mentioned last week, and they were sending out letters to grad students to just let them know, like, if you would like to opt out, they can opt out. And some new information developed in the case of Stewart v. Maine. For any of you who don't know, there was this debacle about the University of Maine owing refunds to students that were charged fees for like gym memberships, not gym memberships, like being able to use gyms on campus, lab fees, et cetera, that kind of thing. Because of this ruling, students were impacted by that semester, quote, all 21,000 University of Maine system undergrad students are entitled to a prorated refund of the tuition and other mandatory fees that they paid for universities last semester, citation pending for group chat, Anyways, for that, so they will be seeing checks who were in attendance for 2020 spring semester, if not now, soon. And a report for that.
Do we want to do reports or do we want to hear election results?
Oh, yeah, can I do that first?
No. Representative Levesque.
Senator Cumberland.
I've been working with Dean Giovanni creating the College of Engineering Advisory Board, and this would be the first advisory board of its on this campus. We're trying to reflect what Cornell College does with their engineering advisory board. And there's going to be a event on this month on the 21st at 4 p.m. in the Furland lobby. There's not a lot of advertising surrounding this event, which I'm trying to include. But if you know of any engineering friends, please let them know, because this is really good for the college and the well-being of the college in general. And then also biomedical engineering held its first bear crawl robotics competition. Unfortunately, for all the other competitors, I kind of washed them out as a company. I'd like to note that the average time for them to get across the course was 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, and I got my class in 2 seconds.
Any other special orders and announcements? Representative Tiago?
Show up to athletic events, it'd be pretty chill.
Actually, adding on to Representative Piakula, you wanna join Maniacs, reach out to me. We're trying to really grow that and build the environment this year. But I actually do have special orders announcement. Triota is tabling in the union for the rest of this week for Partners for Peace, so that's supporting domestic violence victims. All the baked goods are home baked, so it's not like we just went to BJ's and bought one of the bulk things. Am I forgetting anything?
We're only tabling till Thursday.
Oh, okay, we're only
We're
tabling
not
Thursday.
tabling on Friday.
Yes, if you have already been harassed by too many clubs for baked goods this week, try to find Dean Dana and get him to give us a crisp hundred. I would take that too. Thank you.
Any other special representative announcements? Senator Callan?
Yes, so Triota has raised approximately $250 for Partners for Peace as of today. And that was just the time that I was there tabling for. We were tabling for like 2 more hours after that. Also, March Against Domestic Violence. I know it's been said a million times, and I'm gonna keep saying it a million times. It's happening well, also Representative Livak said it a million times. We're all gonna say it a million times. It's happening October 18th at 5 p.m. That's when we leave from Folklore Library and head into the field house. It's really, really important to get as much campus engagement as we can. I'm currently working with a list of all of the victims, all of the people in this state that we've lost to domestic violence this year. At first my list was 13, and as of this morning, my list has become 15. Those are our people. Even if you're not from this state, you're part of this community. Those are our people, and it's really, really important to get out there and show our support for them. Thank you.
Any other special representatives? Seeing none, the clerk will call the final roll.
Cynthia Shawardine. Here. Cynthia Field Alarm.
Here.